Light them up. It's a Cleveland Moto podcast. And you know what? If you guys hear all this ambient noise, because we're doing outside. So part of our fun with social distancing efforts, we decided it'd be cool to get the podcast outside, get some wind moving around.
Just when we got the quality of our podcast way up there.
Right. And because it's a Friday night in Cleveland and we're in West Park, so it's going to be nonstop motorcycles going by, which I thought would be fun. And so people are going to rev as they go by. It's just, Yeah, there's been no shortage of that already. So it's been going very well. It's exactly what I'd hoped it would be.
Look at me, look at me, look at me,
exactly.
Look at me.
Right. And there's a rule that when you pass a motorcycle shop, you have to rev your motorcycle.
You have to.
That's just the way the rules work.
Or if you go through an underpass.
Yes. Well,
yeah, absolutely.
Underpass or tunnels, of course, mandatory. To my immediate left,
Chris Smith.
Hey, and
well, let me
go ahead.
Just say we got beautiful weather here.
Trying to get through here.
Beautiful weather today. That's why we're outside.
Yeah.
There's no rain. It's not 89,000 degrees outside.
What'd you ride, Chris Smith?
I rode my Honda Monkey today.
Yes, and you know what? It is a veritable barrel of monkeys today. So we've got multiple monkeys in the house, which is very fucking cool. And to his left,
Dan Kromke.
Dan Kromke, and you rode your
Triumph America.
Yeah.
Rode the Beamer this afternoon, Triumph tonight.
And that's how you've been doing, is just riding. Yeah, that is exactly it. So that's super cool. And to your left,
Steve Hoffert.
one of the aforementioned monkeys.
Yeah. I rode it on the freeway today.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit.
And both ways, there was a headwind. I don't know what.
It was uphill both ways.
Uphill both ways.
Was it really a headwind, or is that just the standard wind profile of a monkey?
No, it's like usually I can do like 60.
Yeah.
And today it was like 52, 53.
Yeah.
And I was in a hurry.
Of course.
I should have taken the other bike.
Any of the other bikes.
Any of
the other bikes.
Let's talk about Steve's ability to select the proper bike for a ride.
Right.
So last weekend we did Steve Noble's Noble Moto, the big long one.
The big long one.
It was 250 miles.
Yeah.
And Steve shows up on a sort of running 175cc Honda.
No, it was running.
It was running.
It was running perfectly.
It was running.
When I got there.
I think he chose the right bike.
For the first how many miles it was running perfectly?
70, 60, 70.
Well, it probably
30% of the ride.
got more attention before the ride than any other bike
Yeah,
there.
it did.
Well,
Right?
your bike too. I mean, you rode the Super
Right.
Rock, so.
Yeah. You guys were the stars.
But the problem was that Nick lost first gear for us like 30 seconds.
You're right. When we first started the ride, I got stuck in this false neutral where I couldn't shift into a gear. And then, Steve and I pulled off to the side and everyone went by. And so eventually I figured that out and we went on our way. And by that time, the only people that were left were the BMW club.
So we were in a sea of pretentiousness.
Right.
But
And so, I mean, it was okay. We were going along. And they were fairly cool, and we stopped to get gas. And I'm like, we're not, I said, I can only do 70. And like full out, I can only do 70. And she's like, I'm not going on the freeway. Don't worry, I am not going on the freeway. 30 seconds later, on the freeway, balls out.
Oh, shit.
And so I'm in fourth gear at red line, trying to go as fast as I can because these guys are all pulling away from me. And the thing coughed once, I lost my right cylinder.
Oh.
I mean, the oil, the one, and then
Because we got to catch up with the other people who might be out there somewhere on this 200-mile course. Somewhere.
well, and there was no course. You just got city names and you had to find your way to all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was ridiculous. So I pulled off. I got to an exit. I got to a gas station. I took everything apart. I thought maybe the resistor burned up in the boot. Sometimes that happens. I went through that. I switched boot ends. I cut the end off the Nick had a pair of pliers. I cut the end off the wire. Yeah. Put it back in, and it was no go. I mean, I lost half the coil. Or I don't know how the coils are set up. Are there two independent coils in the coil, or is it a single coil that fires out of both leads? I mean, I don't know how.
To me, that wouldn't make sense. Why would why would it be a dual lead coil, but it could be.
Because it wouldn't make sense, because if the one had less resistance, it would always fire through the path of least resistance. So it's got to be a dual coil.
It has to be a dual coil.
If you look at the shape of it, it's not just a simple little small round coil for one.
If it's ovalish.
it's like it's oval shaped, like there's two in there, I think.
Yeah.
But I could be
But
But
wrong.
it sucks that it's a single unit, so if one side goes, you have to replace the whole thing.
You have to replace the whole thing.
But I mean, I looked those up. I mean, you can get one for $30.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
expensive.
So Nick and I had a discussion, and Nick's like, I could go home and get
Because this was only like 20 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get my microcar and we'll stuff the bike in the back of my microcar. I'm like, by the time you go home and you come back
Right.
and we figure it out, or if you drive me home, I get my truck and get the thing, it's going to be 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm going to ride it home on one cylinder.
On one cylinder.
It'll still
Yeah.
do 30, 40 mile an hour.
So I took a business card, I tore it in half,
Yeah,
I pulled the float bowl off,
right.
and I folded it up and I pushed the float up so
To
that
shut the
That's a good
flow of
idea.
gas
Right.
off to the non-running cylinder.
so it wouldn't wash it out.
Right. That's brilliant.
So I'm driving along, and I've decided that when a two-cylinder loses one cylinder,
Right.
you've lost 5/6 of your cylinders.
That makes sense, right? Because you're dragging along
Right.
and you're
Well,
making compression
it's
in
an
the
air
other cylinder.
compressor.
I had thought about telling you to maybe
Pull
you
the
should
spark
pull
plug
the
on the
spark
number
plug,
two.
but then it's going
Yeah.
to be going. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
ridiculous to
Yeah.
have the spark plug out.
Yeah.
So I made it pretty much to like halfway,
Yeah.
and I had this hill I had to go up, and it was fine when I had a running start. I could kind of once I got the revs up, I was okay.
Right.
So if I got a hill and I had the revs up, I could maintain it. But this was like I got stopped at a red light. There was somebody jacking off in the lane, talking on their cell phone, whatever. And so I started up this hill, and it's I got up to 4,000 RPM, and then all of a sudden it started 39, 38,
Yeah.
37. I got almost to the crest of the hill, and went, and I had
Get
to
on
push
back
it
to the
off
bottom of
side
the hill and
road.
start again.
No, there was a driveway. I pulled off.
Yeah.
I let it cool down. I started to back up, and it was I swear every gasket on that thing started weeping.
They all failed at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got it started again. I made it home, and I mean, I felt sorry I hate when I do that to bikes I like. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I mean, I like that bike. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite bikes because I just like the look of it. I like the engine. I like the Honda's way better than the new stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Monkey. I like you too. But c'est la vie.
Have
Yeah.
you looked at it? I mean, did you look in the cylinder or anything? Why did the other cylinder stop running?
No, it was loading up when I was going up the hill, and at those things at 4,000 RPM. What do they have? 8 foot-pounds of torque, and they're trying to move my fat ass up a hill.
Yeah.
So once it started up again, it ran, but it just seemed like it was running really hard. It worked really hard.
Yeah. Well, and is that going to overheat that other one, trying to run it on one cylinder with, I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I have a coil. I'm not sure it'll work. It's an old coil off my Ural. I mean, it's from the new optical electronic ignition. So it's a dual coil with wasted spark. So I'm thinking that it should work.
Yeah, I think so.
They have, like I said, I bought one for my CB160 on eBay. It was $37.
Yeah,
and
that's what
it wasn't a big
see
deal.
that too. So Amazon's got it for really cheap, but
Nice.
Oh my God! Look at this.
Bring that out for you guys to have around with us.
Holy crap.
that is
That's ridiculous.
I think my wife needs that bike really bad.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's, I thought I'd put that next to John.
And to his left.
And Steve's left.
Johnny Mac. What did you ride tonight? Shamu.
Yeah, you brought you brought the Sorrento.
Well, I had to haul the tiki torches.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. John comes out, he's like, well, I don't want to bring these out just yet because, it's still bright out, and, tiki torches and everything, don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. And oh, look at the guy on the one wheel. Check him out.
Oh, yeah.
Woo, go get him, boy. But so it was funny. It's like tiki torches have become this kind of thing. You're like, I don't want to send the wrong message.
Right.
What message would that be?
Aloha, baby. Right. That's it. Right.
Well, I think it's the Boogaloo Boys. They ruined all tiki things.
Well, it's not. No, those are Proud Boys. So the Proud Boys ruined the tiki torches.
Okay,
gotcha.
So the Proud Boys ruined the tiki torches. The Boogaloo Boys ruined the Aloha shirts.
Right.
And just to let our podcast listeners know, I do identify as a proper drug-taking, self-deprecating Boogaloo boy. I mean, that is, I'm going to say, that's where I come in. If you want to look at the map of social arrangements, where am I on the spectrum? Yeah, I'm not going to be the guy who's going to be like, I'm going to make sure I'm the best libertarian anyone's ever met. I'm not going to go out and vote for Jorgensen and pull a nader,
Yeah, really.
It's too important for that, right? But it is a very interesting thing because I definitely identify more with their sort of social line than anybody else. That's the closest to where I am.
But there's always
naturally.
one. You're like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's exactly what happens. And you're like, you guys are on the money. And then something happens and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
But it is true that any group, anywhere, when somebody does the like, I'm going to be a radical piece of shit, but I'm going to identify with that culture.
yeah.
And again, that's how you end up. So you're just like, all the Catholic priests in the world are probably amazing people, but it didn't take many to ruin that thing, right? So it's kind of like, the guy comes out and he takes his collar off and everything else because he's going to wait until all the other Catholic priests get there until he puts his collar back on.
Right.
Right. Just like with the tiki torches tonight. It's kind of
There was a time when I was proud to be able to tie a real proper 13 tie noose.
Oh,
I don't
God,
think
yeah.
I'll be doing that anytime
I've got
soon.
several nooses in my garage that were tied just when I learned as a Boy Scout, when I learned how to tie a noose.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well, it's a knot that you learn. And of all the knots you can learn, that's the one that every teenage boy is kind of like, haha, check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was always, it's always for me been like either Halloween or Hang 'em High, watching Western movies
Whatever.
and stuff like that. But I get it, and I will be sensitive.
Apparently,
to that issue.
all of my nooses were broken because none of them did anything when they were in my garage, just being nooses, being creepy Halloween.
Nooses or nieces?
Easy blondie.
Well, my niece takes exception with your with your
that's easy
your
for you to
assertion,
say.
right? Exactly. My niece and my noose.
Nooses.
Yeah. When you have more than 5 nieces, it just becomes a noose.
Keep the
It's a
nooses in the
gaggle of
dungeon.
nieces. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And when you do find the noose, like you're like, oh my God, there's a noose in the drawer under his bed. That's a different kind of noose, I assure you. That's a noose tied with
In the
love.
back of the sock drawer.
Right, in the sock drawer.
Tied with love.
Yes. It's a noose, but it's made out of this really soft rope. It's really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
This boat line
Silk.
is very silky. Yeah,
There's a plastic bag with it.
exactly. Oh boy.
And glue.
Right, exactly. I can't imagine what's going on. And why does he have tape head cleaner? Why does he need videotape head cleaner? What's going on with this guy? Was he doing a lot of AV cleaning?
Yeah.
Building a lot of...
What is this amyl nitrate? What is this? I don't know.
Exactly. Yep, you got it. And, I mean, to his left,
What the hell is that?
the ape hangers on an FLH. So it is one of those things. You have the FLH, which the whole spirit of the FLH is it's just kind of like low and long.
Yeah, and then you have the...
And then all of a sudden it's like 26 apes. I need 26-inch apes. That's exactly what I need right now.
You know what you never
Yeah.
see on a long ride? A bike with 26-inch ape.
I do have a couple of my friends that do ride long distance, and they swear that the like 16 or 18-inch ape is the perfect handlebar. But legitimately, my hands go numb.
Are they riding turns?
Yeah, but legitimate, like my hands are above my heart.
Yeah.
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 I heard that if your ass is on the seat, they're
Right.
too short.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm gonna say if your ass is on your seat, you just keep reeling them back,
Yeah.
because it's everybody's taste. And I've ridden a lot of customers' bikes that have apes on them. Not as bad as that guy's.
Yeah,
That guy was setting the standard. But yeah,
Nick Divitto and I rode the Suzuki Bandit
because
because I ran out of time. I was going to ride the Super Hawk to compare it with this one.
Oh,
but,
okay, yeah.
But also my Fiat's dead.
yeah, your Fiat
Is again dead.
It is the hardest working Fiat.
Yeah. It really
I thought you
sucks.
said your fiance died.
No.
That's why he's in such a good mood.
know,
He's like,
it's-
hey.
It just sucks because I spent all this time replacing the clutch,
Right.
And I had the transmission off and had it all torn apart and put it all back together, and I was so happy to have it back and be able to drive it.
And you're autocrossing that car on the regular.
Well, I guess I shouldn't have rallycrossed it.
Rallycrossing
the week after I put it back together.
Right. I mean, autocrossing it's one thing, but rallycrossing is a totally different
harder
animal.
on the car.
And is there a fellow out there with the Ford Transit Connect?
Yes, there is, and he consistently wins in a Ford Transit Connect in my class.
In your class?
Yes. So
Jesus Christ,
that's not great.
Does that just say how much worse the competition is?
I love the fact that the guys, and he's rallycrossing that Transit Connect.
He's rallycrossing it. Yeah.
Wow.
Then again.
And does he stop to deliver plumbing supplies as he's going along?
I looked in the back of it. It was completely empty, which I think is some of the reason why he's so competitive is it's almost like a Ford Focus drivetrain.
It is, yeah.
But with less weight because it doesn't have back seats. It's just an empty shell.
Yeah.
He fills with helium too.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
So I will say that all of my competitors have significantly more horsepower than I do.
Yeah, they would.
But their cars are also in one piece currently. Probably.
We have your new rallycross car right here.
Yeah.
I went for a ride in your car with you that one time up to Dunkin' Donuts, and I was like, "Get on her there," and he's like,
"I am."
Okay.
That's getting on her there. Yeah. And go ahead, Steve.
Me? I rode the Super D because a lot of my plates expired, and I have to try to get to the plate place, and I haven't been able to. But this one still has a plate, so I rode that. And me and Dan learned a very important lesson last week on that ride. So we got to a group early on, which they were kind of with us, and then they dropped off. And it was like, do we leave this whole group? And it seems like they're together, and they're like, all right, we'll go. So we stayed with this group and kept going. And so we rode, 150, 200 miles, long time with the guys. And they were all cool, really nice guys. Everybody, our group was all right. But on the way home, we couldn't decide. We're like, we kind of wanted to continue to ride back roads. And those guys were like, I think we're going to take the highway. And so me and Dan were like, all right, we'll just go on our own, And then next thing you know, they're like, no, we'll follow you guys. We're like, okay. So Dan goes and hangs a right, and the road that we're going to go down was just like 4 inches of gravel and 20 miles long.
Oh, shit.
And so we kind of slowed down, and we looked, and they're all stopped.
Right.
We're kind of waiting. We're like, fuck it. So we just kept going.
And what were you riding, Dan?
His America.
Oh, your Triumph.
Yeah.
Which has no ground clearance.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Great
was
dirt
just,
bike.
it was gravel. It wasn't like ungroomed crazy. It was just gravel.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody followed.
No. You guys were on your own at that
What was
point.
everybody else riding?
All kinds of bikes. Everything from an Indian Chief to a Z07 to...
But all modern, reliable shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Stuff that like anybody should be like, well, let's not go fast, but I'll follow you.
Right. We'll swim through the gravel for a while.
They wouldn't even go on the road. They stopped before the gravel
they
started.
did?
They were not having any part of it.
Oh, man. So how long was your sojourn on the gravel?
Oh, like what? 2 miles,
2 or 3 miles.
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah.
Just
right.
a little shortcut to 514.
Okay.
yeah. But it was not anything,
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow. So now I know that if I'm ever with people I don't like,
Right.
just find
That's
the
how you do it.
gravel.
Just find a gravel road and they'll all fuck off and you'll be great. Yeah.
We had a macadam, like what was it, a buildup or like a macadam road?
Yeah.
And I rode through. I had to slow down though because when you're riding on 40-year-old tires that are like 2 pieces of wood, there's no gription at all.
No, and you're on
like
chip tar.
What?
Gription.
Gription. Grip and friction. It's like when your forks get stiction. Yeah, we get stiction. We know all about stiction. It's when your forks are almost forking. Yeah. They're nearly forking.
It's where you press down on the fork and it's like nothing, then it lets
Then
go.
it drops out.
Right.
Exactly. You're like, okay, that took 20 pounds.
Yep.
Well, they had, and I don't know if your bike has this problem, but the 2017 or 18 Africa Twin had a whole thing about the front forks.
Oh, really?
Where the inside, they anodized the inside, and the anodizing was wearing and causing stiction on them.
galling.
Yeah, and a lot of guys were getting kind of pissed off. Like, hey, I paid $15,000
Well,
for
yeah,
this bike.
of course.
20,000 miles and my forks don't work.
And we talked about that in other podcasts where a lot of companies that send their work outside for plating and they're applying either anodizing or diamond-like coating to these things and they're failing. And these diamond-like coatings don't always work or they suffer a very short life cycle because the idea behind diamond-like coating is basically cheating. It's trying to say we're going to take rolling resistance down to an impossibly low number. and it had better work all the time because we based everything else in our entire cam system on it. So
Because the metal behind that diamond-like coating
It's
can't
not
take
diamond.
that kind of
It's
friction.
right. And so rather than putting a really, really hardened steel in the cam, they use a shitty graded steel, but they DLC it. And so many cars have had this problem, many motorcycles have had this problem, and it's like the whole idea behind diamond-like coatings. I tell
Nice
people,
help.
yes, diamonds might be the hardest substance on the planet. However, they're also fragile. You can be the hardest substance on the planet, but still be fragile. And in many of these situations, if you allow any corrosion to happen on the steel part that runs against the DLC, then that corrosion on the steel part, which is a good hardened steel part, like a roller rocker bearing or a roller rocker or something, then that corrosion on there becomes incredibly abrasive.
Well, when
And
you
it
look at the
cuts
idea
right
behind
through.
like a bronze phosphor bushing,
Yes.
it's not hard. It's
No,
smooth.
it's super smooth.
It's slick and
Yeah.
it wears,
Yeah.
and that's what protects it.
That's what keeps it alive.
Yeah.
That's why when I spec pumps, I spec like Nyhard or
Right.
like high chrome. So the whole impeller or the whole volute is made out of high chrome.
Right.
So if it wears evenly.
It wears
no
evenly
matter where
across the components.
And chrome is incredibly. This is unrelated, but I tried to turn down a chrome plated socket
Right.
in the lathe.
No, it's
And it wouldn't touch
even
it until I
shitty
ground
chrome
it off.
is
And-
very durable.
Yep. Very durable.
Yeah, chromium steel and industrial hard chrome plating is even better. So it does really make things last a really long time.
Chrome is actually clear too.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize that when you're seeing the shiny silver, that's the polished metal under the chrome.
Right.
That it's actually a clear coating over top of shiny metal.
So,
And
so,
hexavalent chrome causes cancer.
so what you're saying, all you guys just said is everything I've ever heard about that one girl that could suck the chrome off a trailer hitch. It wouldn't happen.
No, probably not.
no. What
She's
is
just
story
very
is that?
talented.
She was running around Moto Guzzi guys for a long time because somehow they did lose the chrome lining inside their cylinders in some of the Moto Guzzis. And she got that from the inside out.
Yeah, that's even.
So that's power.
Right, straight through the tailpipe.
Straight to the tailpipe. Exactly. She sucked the chrome off a Moto Guzzi cylinder from the outside in. Yeah. Well done. Yeah. You're a legend. So your humble narrator, Phil Waters, and today I drove into the shop a Daihatsu Mira Avanzato TRXR. That's the whole car's nomenclature. And what that is a 1995 Japanese K car that has a 4-cylinder rocking out. That is the coolest that guy is ever going to be, and he needs all of that.
The moment he was on the ClevelandMoto podcast.
Yes, well done. And he's on his way to Smedley's right now.
Podcast next week.
Yeah, he's like, my God, I'm on the podcast. I saw these guys recording, so I turned my Skinnerd up a little extra loud.
They should call Smedley's Covidleys.
COVIDless.
I can't believe that guy had a helmet on.
I know. Well, again,
that was amazing.
Yeah, that's true.
It's weird how often I still find myself mourning the West Park magician. Like,
Oh my God, yeah.
for whatever reason, I just think about that guy every day.
We
and
talked.
how bad
I
I'm,
don't know
like,
if you guys
bumming.
know this, but right when a lot of this stuff started happening in the summertime and people were going out and having backyard barbecues and stuff, it was 4th of July weekend when not but 3 blocks from here, there was a backyard party and a kerfuffle happened, and a guy that we all know and love was shot and
Took a round to the chest.
took a round to the chest. So 2 people shot, 1 died, and credit for shot placement. But he was our magician. He was our official magician at Smedley's bar, who would just come around and just perform fucking prestidigitation and sleights of hand.
Buy him a shot, throw him a few bucks, you'll see something amazing.
And you will legitimately straight up. And even when he was like late in the night, he was still amazing. So he could
Well, the
hold
one
it
night
together.
that you guys got funulated,
Yes, we had fun.
he was there, right?
Oh yeah, he was there. He was
Yeah.
great. Yeah, he was great. And I kept buying him drinks and giving him money to perform increasingly difficult sleight of hand tricks. With, he busts out a Svengali deck and you're like, oh, this is going to be great. And then he busts out like just a regular card deck and you're like, oh no, he's really good. He doesn't need all the cheat shit.
Yeah.
And then
So, yeah, I-
and you got
What's that?
The band was like your jukebox.
Oh, I love the juke.
You just started yelling.
We were just
songs
yelling
at the-
shit to the band, and the band was like, "Yeah, we know that." And it was like, "Wow, this is good. These guys are amazing."
Play hot for teacher.
And then it came on, and we were like, "This is great. This isn't charging me."
Wait, we got the drum. We got
There
the
we go.
drum solo there.
Yeah.
Oh, he barely got that going.
second gear, buddy.
He almost
Second
stalled
gear.
that out. Because that 108 cubic inch was not necessarily enough. This passenger did have excessive tonnage.
Well, she had
Another
108
case where she could have used a couple more inches on that
Yeah,
one.
could have, might have been. So yeah, I've been driving this. I picked this thing up in. I picked up this Daihatsu in Maryland. This came in from Tokyo the other day, and got to go out and drive out and pick it up and pulled it out. And because it's a turbo car with an intercooler, so this car's build sheet is
An
hilarious.
intercooler the size of a lunchbox.
It is, and it does have a functioning hood scoop. But the funny thing is, it has power windows, power mirrors, and you press a button, the door mirrors fold in. The car is 4 fucking feet wide, people. It is a K car. There is no point where you need to fold the mirrors in. And if you did, your hands could reach both mirrors. You don't need an electric motor to do it. But 25 years is old as hell. Press the button and those mirrors snap in like nobody's business. The power windows go up and down fast. This is a well-built little car, 660 cc's. So it is not a powerhouse, but fucking driving it is hilarious. It was like if you mated a Jack Russell Terrier with a bear. Because the idea is like Jack Russell Terrier is far too small to ride. But a bear is the right size to ride. But if you mix a bear and a Jack Russell Terrier, sometimes you get something the size of a bear that acts like a Jack Russell Terrier. And that little thing, I was going around got my titles today, ran through North Olmsted, and every time I left the light, I'm at turbo flutter and just chewing through what's left of these shitty tires.
Oh no.
On the Sparco 13-inch wheels, you know, so very fun, tiny little car, but remarkably roomy
I was
inside.
about to say that's the only one I've seen you buy or have that looks comfortable.
Normally the K cars and K trucks are like this inside.
Coming in hot.
And they really, there you go. Oh yeah, there you go. And that's why it's fun to do these outside.
Yeah. And there was
Friday night in Cleveland on the west side,
there was one pair of long pants and one helmet between 5
Yes, there were.
bikes.
5 people were sharing one pair of trousers.
It's like going to the aquarium at the squid exhibit.
I like the way the guy on the Suzuki C50, that's 800cc Boulevard Replica Harley, had everything at stake.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm going to launch and I'm going to make, and meanwhile, the 3 guys on sport bikes were like, look at him go.
Yeah.
He's like,
if I fall at 10, I want to die.
right.
That's why I don't want to have any type.
He was game on. That
He
guy
had
was.
shorts.
Here's the
Geo Metro. Yeah.
Woo! Love that.
That's nice. Not joking either.
That's beautiful. We're literally, this is the most Camaro podcast ever. We are shouting out to a Geo Metro convertible
But wait,
with the tonneau.
but it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
It's got the weird triangle
That-
wheels and everything.
That
triangle
got
hubcaps.
embarrassing after about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Because then he thought we were making fun of her.
No, but then he's like,
It's
no, these
just not
guys
a good
really do like your car.
Yeah.
And one of them might blow you. It's the only time anybody's ever been blown because of a Geo Metro convertible. Ever. Yeah.
Nick would not blow them.
Oh,
I don't know. I mean, it sounded like an auto though, so Brett might have to hold back on that.
Right.
Yeah, maybe just a. Yeah. Not going to bust out a rusty trombone for a guy with an automatic. But yeah, so I've been driving that around. It's a hoot. So I sold a bike today.
Oh, really?
What'd
What
you
kind of
sell?
bike did you sell?
I think we should play the game.
Okay.
It's one of my personal bikes. It is not a shop inventory bike. It is a personal bike.
Well, I'm not really versed on what you've been marketing.
Right,
really,
exactly. But this one has haunted the shop for a little while. And let's start the game by saying
Well, the GB500 is still in the window.
the
thank God.
GB500 is still in the window, so we're safe.
the Harley that you did your testing on.
No, still there.
bike? Okay.
Please, still there. Yep. I will give you this. It's 650 cc's.
Versus.
No. but I'd be really happy if I did.
You still got 2 of them in there. Free.
What do you
Free
have
versus.
that is 650 cc's?
Yes.
You don't still have an XS 650 anywhere, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay. Hondas, you don't have any kind of CB 650 or anything like that.
No, I don't.
Steve paid you for the Trans Out.
650 really?
No.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's a 600.
That's a
That's
600,
600.
and that went away a while ago.
So what
Yeah.
okay, who makes a 650 that you could have
Let me
sold?
give you another clue. It's green.
Oh, Kawasaki.
Yeah.
So,
KLR?
Yeah.
oh.
So that big ass the KLR I got that had 300 or 500 miles on it. First year of the new body style KLR with no miles on it, and then I got all the
yellow
yellow SW Motec stuff.
crash bars.
I got
from
all the crash
Twisted
bars.
Throttle.
Yep, from Twisted Throttle, and I put all that on, and so that was all on it. And then I did
All kinds of lighting.
I
and
did
stuff
LED
upgrades.
lighting on the handlebars, and I did LED lighting on the fork legs.
That
But
did it.
the bike was very well illuminated, and wasn't advertising it, wasn't trying to sell it. I've ridden it 5 times. I rode it by the on the road, the service road along the railroad tracks, just to see what it was like. And the factory tires they put on those things are deadly. So the bike had less than 1,000 miles on it, and I took it on that off-road section.
I think what you're going to find is no matter what tires you kind of put
Yeah.
on those, they're not extremely.
And so I had ridden that along that railroad track road. I've done that railroad track road a lot because that's on my way home. So I can get off at Clegg Road, jump down to the railroad tracks, and then ride the service road along the railroad tracks all the way to Route 83. And, you know, it's illegal as fuck, but it's fun. And there's quite a bit of terrain back there.
Plus,
So-
Clegg is the best word to say.
Clegg. It's a good Scottish word.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
It hurts your face. Clague.
Wow.
Yeah, Clegg.
Clegg.
It's a proper Scottish word, I
Yeah,
think.
one
right?
wheel. All
There you
right.
go. Dude is owning it, too.
Nice.
With lights, headlights.
Yeah, it's got headlight and taillights. Those one wheels are fun. Yeah. But of course, when you eat shit, it's all your face.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're lucky for the face because if you land on the back of your head, you don't remember anything anymore.
Well, he has plenty of beard to protect him.
Right. That's right. He has extra beard. So
He's a beardo.
totally beard. Yeah. Kind of, but based on his attire, I bet you he's a U.S. military veteran, and that's probably a boog beard. So that's probably a boog appropriate. Oh, there you go.
Tactical beard.
Check this out. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Side by side. Oh, that is baller.
That's
the best way I can
amazing.
describe it is that there's a handicap scooter for 2 people side by side with a full over-the-top windshield.
Not handicap, mobility.
A mobility scooter. Thank you.
With the don't step on the snack.
It looks like a
Does
big
have
cooler
does
on
have
the
a
back.
Do not step on snack side.
That is 50% of a K car.
That is 50% of the K car. An equal power, right. Power to weight ratio
Ooh, and look
on
at
the
the
money.
cotton candy
And sidewalk
sky.
legal.
Totally sidewalk legal, apparently, and just barely
Lake
fits on
Erie has the
sidewalk.
number 3 sunset in the world.
This
Look at
sunset
that.
right now is cotton candy.
I'm gonna have to go and turn the camera real
Pink
quick.
and
Piper
blue.
calls
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
Piper
Check out
calls
that
it rainbow
sunset.
sky.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Wait for the green
That is a
flash.
beautiful sunset.
You know, people have the Aurora
Seriously.
Borealis. We have pollution in the air that makes beautiful colors from Detroit.
Sometimes at the end of the
Yeah.
sunset, if you watch it, like if the lake's perfectly
Yeah.
flat and you're out there sailing and you watch a sunset, there's a green flash right at the end.
I've been watching them since I was a child. I've never seen the green flash. I
Yeah.
think it's hokum. I always
I don't know. I've
Are you
never
calling
seen it
Steve
either,
a liar?
but they say,
I've never seen it.
No,
Oh,
they
he's never
say-
seen it either.
I've never
Oh.
seen it, but they say it happens.
There's a beer called Green Flash. I've drank it.
Huh.
You know?
So it's a thing that people say exists.
Right. Exactly.
But they
Just
say
like
that
Sasquatch.
lake has to be perfectly flat,
Oh yeah.
and at the last millisecond that the sun goes down, there's supposedly a green flash.
The lake has been insanely flat this year.
Really?
We've
We
had
went-
remarkably good weather here in Cleveland for the Corona.
We just went and watched a sunset. And you just don't realize how quickly from the time the sun hits
Yeah.
the water
Yeah.
till the time it's
Till it's
gone,
gone.
it's like, yeah, it doesn't
We
take very
usually
long.
go out paddling and we leave my house. I usually get home from work at about 8:30 or so. And between 8 and 8:30, and I tell my wife, I'm like, I'm on my way back. Be ready to get on the water because it's about probably 900 feet or so from my house to the lake. And so we'll just grab our PFDs and our oars and stuff, and we keep the canoe and kayak chained up down at the Woodland Beach.
Peggy noted that
Woodhaven Beach
you
Association.
are not wearing your life preserver as Merritt does.
So
So you're relying on her as being your flotation device?
no, Peggy, I wear what's called suspenders.
Oh.
So I have a CO2 inflatable belt.
Oh, okay. So,
So if I experience any stress, I just pull a little handle like you would.
Pull a
There's a little handle.
Are you wearing those now?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
But you pull the little handle and the CO2 cartridge inflates the thing. So this way, it's
super light.
It's Coast Guard rated.
I will correct her the fuck.
Coast Guard.
I will correct the fuck out of her on that one.
I once took a girl on a date and told her to pull a handle to see if it would get a little fatter.
Yeah, get a
See
little
if it
bigger.
inflated?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I ever told this story, but I was
Yeah.
out in the fall at the camp in New York,
Yeah.
and I was getting ready to leave, and our partners at the house were there.
Slingshot.
And we had another.
Not slingshot.
I had a,
Oh my God, that guy looks like a tit. Oh my God, I have to
Spider.
sorry, I have to
No, it's
shame
good.
somebody. So that guy was riding a Can-Am Spider, and he's riding one of the newest Can-Am Spiders. That's like the eco touring version. It's like they lowered the price, but they got bags on it.
Yeah.
And the whole back end looks like a Honda F6B wing, like.
Or a 1300 ST 1300 has
Yeah.
those same kind of bags.
Yeah, but the back of it looks like an F6B.
Okay.
But then the front of it looks like that you ran up on a snowmobile real fast.
Yeah.
But the dude was wearing a micro skid lid. Like it looked like an IUD, like one of those cervical cups.
I was going to say cervical cap.
Yeah, he was wearing one of those on his head, and he already was a big fat person.
And he had a matching shirt that matched the bike.
It was all white.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he did. He was wearing he looked like the Michelin Man, human analog.
Yeah,
Like
that's
you say,
awful.
dogs look like they're people. He looked like his tires.
And I'm going to try to remember to punch in and pull him back. So as you're talking about him, we can see
him? Oh my God,
Yeah, I'm
dude,
sure.
that guy looked
Oh my
fantastically
God.
awkward on that motorcycle thing.
Sure, we can see him over there. I'll have to.
But he's on the podcast now.
Nobody's sucking his dick.
No.
Nobody. Nobody. No, and built like that. he
You know,
can't get
you
to it
say
himself.
that. You say
I
that, but
I
you know you're
I
wrong.
know.
All right.
I had a guy come to the shop today that is just a sideways wreck on a piece of shit. Really, there goes James. Roll that back. This guy rolls up on this world's worst Suzuki Bergman 650. The transmission quit doing the shifty thing a long time ago, so now it's just a one-speed Suzuki Bergman. Look it up, guys. Suzuki Bergmans have a problem. If you have a Suzuki Bergman 650 and it's got the fun, Sportomatic transmission, they don't always work.
Oh,
And it's stupid expensive to fix it.
so it's not a CVT. It's actually.
It's a CVT, but then there's an electronic
shift
stepper.
points.
Yeah,
There's
an
electronic
stepper.
servo control.
So you have, servo controlled. You can run it auto, you can run it performance, you can run it manual. So you are simulating a gearbox.
There's probably a wire you can clip and it'll just go into normal.
Right.
Yeah,
happy.
or just when it breaks. So when it breaks, it defaults to just being a CVT.
So Suzuki said, the best part of a scooter is that there's no gears and that
Right.
it's always in the
Right.
right gear. So we're going to go ahead and take that away
Yeah.
and then put gears on
We're
your
gonna
CVT.
add some fake gears to it.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it in our most expensive scooter
Right.
that old white guys can drive and still then feel like they're sporty.
Oh.
Because now, instead of
Yeah.
a clutch, they just have a button to make them feel like they're shifting gears.
Well, that's what Honda did with the CRZ also.
Oh, really?
To make it feel sportier.
All right, Wheel.
Yowzers.
It always happens during the podcast inside, but outside it's
Yeah.
even
Now you hear it live.
right.
So
Exactly.
imagine that, and we service those vehicles inside a building.
Yeah.
It's with the dual. Those are dual drivers. So a cop car has one. Those have duals in
Yeah.
the front.
You're like, Jimmy, can you please stop testing the fucking siren? I got it.
Oh no, we've had fights about it.
Yes, of course, because you know how long you have to test it? Done.
Well, no, unfortunately.
If the sound leaves the horn, that's too long.
Well, no, but
If
we've
it
got
stays
to.
in the horn.
Exactly.
We have to sustain a blast long enough for it to report through the modem into the internet and come out on somebody's computer in the office, because that's what we do.
What?
So we have to test lights and sirens because it's
Yeah.
all hooked up. It
Yeah.
reports and records.
Yeah.
So the lights is no problem. Turn the
Right.
lights on. We're on the radio with the
Right.
guy in the office.
Yeah.
Lights on. Okay, good. Siren. Woo! Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Wait. They're literally making sure you do your job
Yeah.
by forcing you to
no
go
deaf.
goddamn deaf.
Damage your hearing.
Yes, exactly.
Well, here's a set of earmuffs if you.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You can't just be like, whoop. Did you hear that?
Exactly. Right.
Nah, that
Listen
won't
faster,
do it.
bitch.
You
Yeah.
kind of got to. You got to.
Wow, you got to lay into it. That's
Or like
weird.
the backup things on all the equipment.
Oh, yeah.
We stuff shit in those.
Oh yeah.
Well, you
The
know.
backup alert in my little my Subaru Sandbar over there. My Subaru Sandbar pickup truck has a backup alert. But what's hilarious about it is it beeps at randomly different speeds. So sometimes it beeps, and it's a piezo, right? So it's a piezo. So sometimes it beeps at like meep, 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 but other times it's like meep, 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 and I cannot figure out how to play the fucking thing like an instrument. But every time I'm at the dump taking a load of stuff to the recycler and I throw it in reverse, the guy loves it because he's like, the fact that has a backup alarm on it is the funniest thing ever because you should just be able to put your arm out the window and move whatever's back there. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty fun.
Dude, you know how cool it'd be to have a theremin as a car horn?
Oh, yeah. Very cool. Very fucking cool. So I did sell the Kawasaki KLR 650 state, and I sold it because one of our customers, Dave with one leg. So Dave with one leg came in.
Oh, he's got the 85,
He's got
right?
the V85 TT.
Yeah, yep.
So a week or so ago, he'd come by the shop and was like, hey, man, I got a buddy of mine. We're going to do the Transamerica Trail.
Oh, jealous.
And this is our big plan. We're going to leave in October, and we're not going to do all of it or whatever, but they have a plan to do it. And he's like, my buddy's, he said, I just got a DR 650, but my buddy wants a KLR 650 in the worst way. I was like, yeah, totally righteous bike, no problem. And he's like, yeah, but we can't find one. And there's one at Rick Roush and there's one at State 8 and they're big money because the market right now is so fucking weird.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
the market's bizarre. People are getting big money for shitty bikes because supply and demand.
I've got a garage full that needs to go.
You need to capitalize on that opportunity right the fuck now. People are buying non-running bikes. And they're buying them non-running. And then the person
Bringing
they're
them
buying,
here?
yes, the person they're buying from is paying the $90 for you to pick them up, and then the new owner is paying the repair bill, and that's happened with like 9 bikes we have in our service department right
I
now.
can leave them right here.
That is the most reckless motorcycle buying technique I've ever seen in my life. You're buying a known non-running bike and you have no skills whatsoever. You're having the non-running bike trucked to a shop who is then going to fix the bike that you now own.
And I take it these are probably not $10,000 bikes.
No, these are $2,000 and $3,000 bikes.
So they might have $3,000 worth of repairs coming on their.
It is not uncommon to find that the repairs are very close to the value of the bike. Yeah. So it is. And again, how would you buy something, or how desperate are you that you would buy something like hasn't run in 3 years?
Yeah, right. No.
And then be like, oh, take it to the shop. I'm sure they can figure it out.
Oh, I can sell you bikes that haven't ran.
I'll see your 3 years and raise you
Why
5.
don't they just go and buy a brand new bike and it'll be a lot cheaper anyway?
Apparently, you can't buy a goddamn Grom.
What?
Nobody has them.
I wouldn't buy one anyway.
Yeah. We're selling TNT 135s like they're going out of style because I keep getting them. Like I keep getting them in.
Well, because people
There
know
they go
Steve
again.
has one.
Yeah.
I still love bikes.
No step on snake.
Yeah.
The giant Amish placard on the back, the giant slow moving vehicle thing on the back of that little scooter car.
That's good.
Just nails it. And we laugh. I got 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's going to be
I would
it.
drive the fuck out of that.
Well, it'll hover by then. So
I get a kick. I take the hover round out for a spin every once in a while. Just
Now that is actually cool in Mid-Ohio too.
Right.
That would be a great Mid-Ohio vehicle.
I mean, you can carry all your beer with you.
has
Take
a
your
roof.
cooler. Have a friend with you. Got a roof for the shade. It's
Yeah.
actually not a bad idea. And it takes up a shit ton less room those fucking
the
golf
swap
carts.
shop on one of those
Yeah.
things, man. Just-
Oh yeah. Well, anything to beat the fucking parade of golf carts, you know. Yep. The golf carts really do. They do compromise my ability to have fun at Mid-Ohio because you get 2 golf carts coming at each other in a lane, and then it just turns into idiot jousting. Got his Harley 48. He's the coolest guy in school. Flat black 48.
I just am amazed at how many like Harleys cause sleeves to fall off a shirt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
Once
pretty
you have a
cool.
Harley, sleeves can't stay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a fact. So yeah, Dave came. So I grabbed the bike from my house, brought it in here, kind of gave it a slap and tickle, made sure everything's great. It's got 1,300 miles on it now.
It made it from your house to here. It can't
Oh
be
yeah,
all
it's
bad.
fine, right? It's absolutely fine. So, oh, there you go. There you go. Bring it on.
Well,
Now lay it on. No, maybe not. All right. Well, Dave shows up. His buddy's at a mini bike rally in Indiana. So I think they're doing a mini bike thing in LaPorte. So there's some mini bike event happening today. So his buddy was out of town. So Dave came in and bought the bike for his buddy. That was great. So $3,500 cash money.
That's a good price for that
I
bike.
think it's a great price for that
Yeah.
bike. And
Cash money's good too.
yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, yeah.
Cash money.
Cash money's great. So I figured out what I spent for it, and I figured out what I had into it, and I still made a few bucks. And I wasn't riding it since I got your bike, since I got the Husqvarna. I took the Husqvarna on the same exact route. I took it on the same trails as the KLR. And the KLR was a lot comfier, but the KLR did not have a grip of the road or didn't have a grip of the surface the way the Husqvarna did. And I felt better stabbing the Husqvarna around. And I'm still trying to learn that reckless clutch. Like, me and that reckless clutch are not really good friends yet.
I think the day that you get stuck in sand,
Oh, well,
you're gonna
that'll
be like,
never
I
happen.
like this thing, but until you do that, it's kind of like so.
If I get stuck in sand, that means I planned poorly.
well, with that clutch, I mean, you could just leave it in gear, jump off of it,
Yeah.
and just give it the gas and push it and stuff like that. You don't even have to feather the clutch, right?
Exactly.
Right, but it also, the thing that I kind of didn't like about it, and that's why I gave Phil also the regular clutch, so he can go back to it if he wants to.
Right.
But I didn't like in a turn, if you wanted to downshift, to get extra juice on a turn,
Yeah.
Right.
it's really not fun.
Yeah. No, it's
like
not.
you almost have to kind of let off the gas and let the the RPMs come down enough to shift into the next gear.
It's like that with almost with any auto clutch bike. I mean, even CT90s, if you're going down a hill and it's loaded up,
Right.
you can't, sometimes you can't upshift or it gets stuck because it's loaded up.
The Mana was good at going in the turn, so that bike was perfect.
Yeah, the transmission in the Man is kind of amazing. And that's another electronically servo actuated
Right.
CVT.
But
And
they had that right.
they did have that right. And the problem was every time you replaced the belt, you also had to replace the belt tension sensor, the belt wear sensor. So for some reason, the device that checked the lifespan of the belt was not, if you replaced the belt, what ended up happening was the belt, you need to replace the belt light, wouldn't go off until you replaced the actual sensor. And that made owning that bike a bite in the dick.
I wonder if all the sensor was a timer. Because on a CVT belt, it's all over the place
it's all over the
time.
place.
So how do you measure that?
You can't measure it, right? And I think you're right. I think it's a mile meter or a timer.
Yeah.
But the point was, is we found out, because we serviced a bunch of them, is once you serviced it, if you didn't replace that $50 part,
I can answer that question.
yeah.
The belt will flap so much.
Oh, yeah.
But when it gets loose enough, it'll flap a little too far
Right.
and it'll crush something in that sensor. And once it crushes something in that sensor,
Yeah.
it turns the light on and
And
it
it's
has
done
to be
forever.
replaced.
There you go. Yeah.
Maybe it's
And that's the way it was.
it's a one-time momentary switch. Once you push it down, it's a turkey baster. It's a turkey ball.
Yeah.
Or
It's
turkey.
done. Yeah, it's done. It's done. They're putting on a special show for us tonight. Jesus
Number
Christ.
3.
Yeah. Who's this? Let's see. Oh, Donald Martins and Sons.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not one of ours.
No, that's not one of yours, and Lakewood's is much louder. Martins and Son is kind of like the people you call when it's not really an emergency. You know,
Dude, we got jets.
we have jets, we have
Steve-
ambulances.
Steve just handed me the headphones just to let me know how this sounds, and it's amazing.
It's a party of noises. Yeah.
So this podcast, we've actually moved to New York City.
An AMSR.
We are on 42nd Street in the middle of it.
In the middle of the shit right now. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy what's out there available for ambulances. Like, because we're gonna have the mobile X-ray vehicle come to our house.
All right.
Like, there's no reason to go to the hospital.
No.
Because they have a stroke
They just come
wagon,
to
they
you.
have an X-ray. Like, I'm surprised they don't have an MRI wagon. Like,
Why not? I know in China they do. They have the MRIs that show up. I love that. Filtering traffic on Lorraine Road, 35 mile an hour zone, and you're going to be filtering because, come on.
His girlfriend's head
with a ponytail flying behind
And
it.
a red light, no shit, every eighth of a mile. Right.
There's no.
I mean, I can see 2 red lights from where we're sitting right now.
You know we're not in Europe with traffic cams.
No, we're definitely not. So a little story about the CA 160. It's back there.
Yep.
1964, bought it from the original owner. So
That's great.
that guy's dad bought that bike for him in 1964 when he was 15 years old. And the bike, yeah, ta-da, thank you, Vanna. The bike has been dropped one time when he was dating the woman he eventually married and is still married to this day. The boy that was angry at this relationship came by and knocked the bike over, kicked it over.
What a dick.
What a dick. That's the only time the bike's
You
been
didn't have the
outside.
balls enough to come knock the guy over.
The front tire is the original front tire. Those are the only non-pitted CA 160 rims I've ever seen in my life.
Every motorcycle I own needs this.
Oh, the checkerboard stripe tire? So the story is he got a flat tire when the bike was less than a year old on the back. And so when he went to the dealership, they didn't have any of the proper the narrow white wall tires that's on the front, but they had these checkerboard things.
Oh, if only you'd got both of them changed, it would have been beautiful.
So he got the rear changed, and you can see that the rear tire sidewall does not have the same integrity as the front tire sidewall. So here we are 56 years later. So a 56-year-old motorcycle on its original front tire and its not original back tire, but very close to it.
It's still a soft.
Well, the bike has stored in a heated interior garage for the past 40 years, and he's maniacal about the maintenance. It came with the original Yuasa battery, which we could probably restore, which we could probably fill with acid and bring back to life.
Give it to me.
I am touching usually the dirtiest part of a motor.
It's nothing. Yeah. And I asked him, I was like, did you
Not supposed to
respray the
touch a
motor or
motor
whatever?
there.
He's never done any.
How much? So our anniversary is coming up September.
No, there you go. Yeah.
How much is this bike going to cost, Mrs. McElfresh?
Exactly. To have that, it's not a restoration. It's the original. It's the way
shiny.
It's so shiny.
It should be in a museum.
Yeah. But that's the point is when I bought the bike, I told the guy, I'm like, I just have to let you know, I'm going to ride it because it's got 13,000 miles on it. And
so somebody did ride it.
Right. And he goes, well, I would hope you would ride it. I wouldn't sell it to you if you weren't going to ride it. But he was real careful. He's like, I don't want you to put it in a museum. I don't want you to put it up on a shelf. I want it to continue to be ridden. So,
how'd you find this
that
guy?
doesn't work in your
he's
world.
one of my customers. He bought a Moto Guzzi from me about 7 years ago. And when he bought the Moto Guzzi from me, I used to have a black Honda Dream and a white Honda Dream. And when he was at my shop, he saw my black Dream and my white Dream. And he's like, I got a CA 160 that's nicer than either one of those. And I was like, that's cool, asshole. And he was like, no, he goes, it's my original bike. My dad bought it for me, and I ride it every year, and I put maybe 600 miles on it every year if I can. And he goes, it's never had anything but, Rec 90 gas in it. Like,
The head pipes are just beautiful. Like they're no pitting, no rust, no nothing.
And when he fired it up, it was great.
Oh, wait, he fired his up.
I've already ridden it.
Oh, God.
I rode it around my neighborhood night before last. Yeah. I picked it up. He lives outside of Pittsburgh. I picked it up on the way home when I got the Daihatsu.
That one lever might be bent just a little bit.
Yeah, a tiny bit. But yeah, I fired it up and it just, it sounds great. It's got, the cadence of the CA.
Oh, that's a sewing machine. That's a sewing machine.
Great
right
motor.
there.
And when we did the deal weeks ago, I got the original owner's manual, original toolkit. I've got the baffles for inside the pipes. He kept everything. Like, man didn't, and the keychain, the thing around the keys, is the original from the dealership where he bought it. So, he's just that guy, man. He just took perfect care of it.
That bike's in the same year I was born.
Yeah,
and
right?
it's in better shape.
It's amazing. I mean, it's a very cool bike, and I'm very happy with it. And, I've been wanting the right one because the red Dream I got at Mid-Ohio, I'm so happy with the red Dream. I mean, it's my favorite Dream I've ever owned, and it's just
You sold
so
the
nice.
other beautiful Dream already.
Yeah, I did. I sold the black one. The black one was gorgeous. The red one was nicer.
Yeah, but you had a red one too.
The red one I got at Mid-Ohio a couple of years ago.
No, but you had a red one that you got off that guy that I worked on.
That was the one that you worked on, and I sold that. That was amazing.
Yeah.
But again, we keep getting nicer.
Yep,
So we keep moving the bar a little bit. The one I really, really want is the white Super Sport. So I was Super Hawk. I really, really want a white Super Hawk. So I think that if I had the red Dream, the black.
Did they make like a CYB Super Hawk?
Yeah.
Like a police Super Hawk?
Yeah. But I kind of, we were bullshitting about that Chrome special.
That was the one.
That was the one. I don't know what the fuck we were thinking. We should have pooled our money together.
Oh, I was trying everything I could to make you buy it, but
I know. Why didn't we buy that fucking bike?
I didn't have. I couldn't come out of pocket.
We
for
should
it.
have bought that bike.
And I think that thing eventually went for like $2,700.
Oh God, $2,700 for a Chrome fucking Super Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What were we thinking? Somebody should have hit us in the fucking head.
Was that
I did
a
everything
factory
but.
option? Or was that...
It was a dealer thing.
Oh, okay.
So it's super crazy limited. And the provenance was always questionable because
Well, the guy who had it was like, well, I'm going to clean it up. I'm like, there's no problem cleaning it up, but don't take the yellow inspection marks off of the nuts and bolts.
Exactly.
And apparently at some point he decided to go ahead and do that before he sold it. I'm like, I told you a million times that, the fact that yellow paint is over some of the chrome is telling you that came from the factory that way, because there's a big argument of whether they came from the factory like that. And I'm like, no, and his was the right thing. It was a black tank. Because the tank wasn't chrome. It was always a painted tank.
Yep.
But the entire rest of the bike, the frame, every little piece on it, the side panels, engine cover, shock covers, swing arm.
Yeah, why we didn't,
everything chrome.
We should have bought that.
How long ago was that?
I don't know, John, 15, 20 years ago? Yeah.
The early days of the IX Center.
Yes, it was. I don't know why I don't know.
And I went back and forth, and I even contacted Troyce Walls, who was a big Honda guy out in California.
Check the provenance to see if...
Talk with him about it, and he told me the things to look for and everything. And I was going back and forth with this guy. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You have I was telling him.
Yeah, you were telling him he had a rare bike.
He's like, the yellow marks, I don't know. I don't like those. I'm like... No, you clean everything but those yellow marks out.
I like how this one, still on the triple tree, on the headset, still has that lacquer.
Mm-hmm.
So it still has the lacquer that, everybody went to trouble to remove off of Hondas. That was this, not cosmoline necessarily, but it was a lacquer coating on Hondas.
Yeah, all the raw aluminum, at least on most Hondas that I've encountered, like the brake hubs and stuff like that, they have a clear coat on them. Yeah. So if you go to polish them, the first thing you have to do is get that clear coat off.
You got to bust through that lacquer first.
One of the things I used to use was you used to be able to, you can still buy the gallon pal of carburetor cleaner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just paint that on, and it'll help take that off, and then you can polish them again. And really, you can either keep polishing them for the rest of your life, or you can recoat them.
Or recoat them, yeah.
But it's the same thing with like a CB750, the valve covers. They all have a little bit of. It's almost like anodized, but it must just probably be like a clear lacquer.
It's a lacquer. I've dealt with it before, and on some of the parts that got put on heavier than others, and sometimes it can be a real fucking nightmare to get off because as the bike gets older, it just gets yellower and yellower and yellower, and it just looks worse and worse and worse.
Patches flake off.
Yeah, they literally flake off. So yeah, that happens. So, but yeah, this one's a good one. This one's pretty fun. I'll go ahead and fire it up.
Play it for us.
That's a beautiful bike.
Yeah. We did have to rebuild the fuel tap.
That's going to happen.
Yeah, I told him that. I was like, well, that's just, you can't.
I mean, the shifter's not even dirty.
Hey, Dan Kromke, can I get a fantastic beer? I know you've got something waiting for me.
Oh, look at that.
Electric start and everything.
Well, no baffles.
They took the baffles out. So the Hondas have one little screw there to take the baffles out. But yeah, the guy really, obviously he loved the bike. He didn't like the seat. It's the same asshole before you do.
Well, we all know Hoffert, Grumpy Sir Guy, needs a replacement for his CB175.
Yeah. That's it. Wow. Yeah. Very, very sophisticated horn. There you go.
Wow, that's
That
crazy.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's like a history lesson.
Yeah, it's just the cleanest, nicest.
There's only one bike I've seen that's nicer than that, Dan.
So, okay, now that we've had our fun, and you guys, for the podcast listeners, it is black. Price.
Yeah.
What do we think it cost?
I know. Well.
I mean, I don't know if I revealed it. I don't know if I put the word out what I paid for it.
I don't think so.
No, but is it a?
It's going to make people cry.
Yeah.
I'm still friends with the guy.
So okay, so it wasn't like a Mid Ohio deal where.
Well, let's start out. Did he just give it to you because he likes you so much?
We've been working this for a little while, and
Is it a multi-tiered deal?
no, but it's just he doesn't want to have it in his life anymore. He's done riding. He's aging out of the game.
So probably something like fair market value.
I sold him a Moto Guzzi V7 several years ago, and he still rides the V7 around, but he's not riding it much at all. So
let's just. I'm gonna bid on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's start. It's at least $1,000.
oh yeah,
$2,000 wouldn't be a shame.
I gave him 2.
2 even?
Yeah, I gave him 2 even.
Yeah, that's a great. I mean,
that's all day long.
And the funny thing was when we were talking about the bike, and I said, "Now look," I said, "My rule on buying motorcycles is that you're the seller. You have to set the price. That's part of you being the owner of the vehicles. You have to set the price. If you tell me to set my own price, bad things happen."
yeah, I'm like, well, would you give it to me?
Right, exactly. So I'll be leaving now with your bike because you clearly don't love it enough to put a value on it. But I didn't say that to this guy. I said, "Well, look," I said, "it's beautiful. It's great in every fucking possible way." And I said, "I know what you paid for it brand new. I know that you've loved this bike and taken care of it. So, oh man, that's a bad thing when the car gets towed away on the dolly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. The
Wait, wasn't that the guy that was just driving down here a few minutes ago, like 1,000 miles an hour with that bike and shit in the back of it?
I think you're right. I do think you're right. I think that S10 literally just either that is instant financing, and that thing is just being hot repoed.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody's financing that year of S10.
You'd be surprised at the garbage I have repossessed. But yeah, basically,
So back to the CA160.
I told the guy, I was like, "Look, $2,000," and I said it's more than I've ever paid for this small of a motorcycle, but it's also in better condition than any bike I've ever bought that was original running bike that wasn't restored. I said, so if you're not insulted by $2,000, I'm going to be thrilled to give you $2,000. And he was like, "It's yours." And that was it. And I mean, who knows? I could have said 500. I could have said 3,000. I don't know, but I'm totally thrilled to own that bike for $2,000.
And you can sleep at night. You know, you didn't like.
Oh,
That's
no, Bill can sleep.
yeah. This guy's already called me 3 times to tell me, he's like, "Oh, well, I've got a service manual for it."
Oh yeah.
And he's finding all the other stuff right now. So
Well, you did a solid though. I mean, like you recognize the thing is fucking mint.
It's
and
fantastic.
you paid for it.
Yeah.
And you can get your money back in anytime you want.
And I don't even want to.
Right.
This is one that, because it is what it is and it runs and it's happy, this is like my red dream. I just feel like this is a fun bike to have around. And if I ride it 5 times a year, that's 3 times more than he rode it.
Right.
Right. It'll probably go through the rest of its life being ridden.
Well, and it'll never end up in the side of a garage covered in shit, not doing anything.
Right.
So you are going to save it.
It's a 56-year-old
If
motorcycle
I have anything to say, it'll end up
in your garage.
some way. I'm working all kind. I'm like, oh.
Okay. Well, hold on. What does Phil really need?
Yeah, what
What is he? I feel like I got a CV1.
I'm like, put the CV1 back together, get it all right.
I know you like CV1.
Get it all really nice, ride it up here someday. I wouldn't mind riding back on that. It's a little
It's gonna be like that one deal he was offering his wife to give a handy on the side of the snowblower.
Yes, Oh, FT 500 and a handy, you got it.
You're in.
So I have a question. Okay, the CB1, is there any other bike that use that same engine?
Oh, I
Yes,
can't even
one?
Yes, there is. He asked if any other bike used that same engine that's in the CB1.
Yes.
That is the NC27 engine.
Yeah.
So that was in a CBR
400R.
400R or something.
CBR 400R. And I
Pirate
think
bike.
the only difference in the Japanese version was later ones had variable valve timing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they had VTEC.
Yeah.
So
It's the same way with the Bandit 400s.
Right.
The later ones had the.
Yeah,
But
they
there
have the
are,
D-type.
I mean, hop-ups for the CB1 are
Yeah.
taking parts off of that one.
Off an
But the
NC27.
CB1 is detuned for sure.
Right. That's exactly right. Because we had the CBR 400R for Merit that we bought as a Japanese domestic import, and that was a hot little number. And considering that looked like, you guys all remember the Honda Hurricane?
Oh yeah.
Do you guys remember the Hurricanes? They were all the same thing. They were white with red stripes or red with white stripes.
That was my first bike.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my first real bike.
Yeah. So but they did a 400cc version of that bike in other markets.
Oh wow.
So in Japan, they had that bike, and it's the same motor that's in the CB1. And when we got that hot CBR 400R for my wife, she loved that thing. But it did have the embarrassment light. So at 60 miles per hour, 63 miles per hour, this red light would go on the dashboard. And it literally the red light on the dashboard just said the word speed underneath it. So when we first got the bike, and I took the bike out of the back of the van, and I'm driving it down Lake Road, and I'm like, whoop, whoop. I was like, oh man, this little 400 is just so sweet. It's so awesome. And this is 1980s brake technology, 1980s suspension technology. It's okay.
Yeah,
and I'm driving
like
it,
an inch and a half. Like
and I get to third gear, and as I get to third gear, as soon as I put the bike in third gear, red light on the dashboard comes on, and I'm like, oh shit, because red light on the dashboard means
Not
stop
good.
driving now,
Yeah.
especially in Hondas. So I was like, red light on the dashboard, shit, pull over to the side of the road. Red light's not there. So I'm like, okay, start the bike, rev it a little bit, check everything out. Okay, fine. Jump on the bike again, go down the street. Red light on the dashboard. What the motherfucker? And I pull off the side of the road again, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening to this bike? So now I'm like, I checked everything. I know it's got oil. It's got all the things you need to be. It's safe. I drive the bike again, and now I let the light come on. And I let the light come on, and I'm like, okay, red light's on, red light's on, red light's off, slow down. Red light goes off. Red light goes on, red light goes off. Red light goes on, red light goes off. It does it exactly at 100 kilometers per hour. I was like at 100, because it didn't have miles per hour in the Speedo. Right. And I was like, what the fuck, man? Why is there a light? And I went, oh, it says speed on it. It's a fucking speed light. It's a speeding light.
Yeah.
It means you dipshit. Yeah. Well, then I heard the other part of the story from Emma, which is that Emma said that in Japan, there used to be a law that all the motorcycle helmets had to be white.
Oh.
There were no colored motorcycle helmets. And the idea was that the red light on the dashboard would make your helmet illuminate like pink, like you could see it from a long distance. So the cop didn't need radar or anything else. If your helmet was glowing red, you're fucking speeding.
Oh, I'll fix this.
And they don't have electrical tape that they just...
That's the point.
There is a certain thing about Japanese culture that it's like, speeding is a crime because you're being an asshole to other people. And that's enough.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to America, where you're like, speeding is a right I have to get away with if I can.
Right.
Right. We all know, we drive in America. I drive at 75 miles an hour in a 60 zone because I know they write at 16 over.
Well, I mean, we just had that whole conversation about you have to prove that I was going 72. I didn't go 72 miles in 1 hour.
Exactly. It's not my average speed that you're calculating. It's my momentary velocity.
I was thinking about that argument you had last week. And I'm like, the mere fact that you pulled me over has made me not do 72 miles in this hour.
Exactly. The fact that we're having this conversation means the whole concept of me achieving 72 miles this hour has been blown out the window.
You have obviated this ticket.
Yes. You alone, sir, have made this ticket totally invalid.
I also like the fact that they take one car that's maybe slightly more dangerous.
Right.
And then they add another one going faster to catch up to that car.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's that whole thing about, like, when I got pulled over in Rocky River down on Lake Road, I was riding my wife's SV, and the cop pulled me over, and this cop came out, and he was extraordinarily upset. I mean, he was like red veins pulsing on his forehead, flat top, inflamed, and just big vein in his neck coming out.
It's like a lizard. It hangs down. He's mad. It's like...
Yeah, and all I could smell was testosterone, you know? And he was just like, I had to go 90 miles an hour to catch you. And I was like, no, motherfucker, you did not.
Yeah.
I didn't say motherfucker because I like not getting shot.
Right.
But I was like, no, you didn't have to go 90 miles an hour to catch me. You didn't.
Yeah.
Well, you were going 35 through that 25 zone.
Oh my God.
If I was going 35 through that 25 zone, you would have had to go 36 to catch me.
Right. Not as fast as you wanted to, but you'd have done it eventually.
Not 90.
Right.
So at no point as a citizen who drives through here all the time, am I okay with anybody driving 90 miles an hour on Lake Road through Rocky River.
Why the hell were you doing 90?
In fact, as a citizen, I'm going to write you a ticket
because
you
just admitted that you were going 90 miles an hour in a 25, you reckless motherfucker. And let me guess, you were punching my license plate numbers into some sort of a computer while you were doing it.
Right.
Driver inattention on top of that.
When I was
were you wearing a seatbelt?
Reckless off.
When I was a lot stupider.
No, he wasn't aware of seatbelt. That's the first thing they teach you in the academy. Don't put a seatbelt on. You don't want to get hamstrung when you go to jump out of the car.
No, I went to State Patrol Academy. You wore a fucking seatbelt all the goddamn time. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I forgot. No.
That quick. Wow.
Yeah.
Boom. Well, but yeah, that cop was being a fucking cunt to me about that shit. And I was just like, and I wasn't going to let him have it because I was like, no. Go ahead.
I got it.
I knew you'd get
so, it still works occasionally. So have you guys ever played the game, like, there's a cop that's doing like 85 or 90 on the highway with no lights on.
Right.
So you get behind them.
Yeah.
And you can go as fast as they can go because if they're not going to an emergency, like, why are they going 90 miles an hour?
I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, they'll still find a way.
Because all they got to do is go to the right lane and then throw the lights on and give you that little hand gesture.
No, you go to the right lane too. You got to stay behind.
I'm with you, dude. Then it turns into a European traffic stop. Where they
I
just
have
stop
some
in front of
news
you.
for you that a standard issue radar detector,
it works both
a
ways.
B3, has one that comes out the front and there's one
that comes
mounted
out
in the back.
Absolutely.
So he can check your speed from behind
Absolutely.
as well as he can check
But-
your speed from in front.
Can he check the speed if you're going the same speed?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought
Oh,
you
no,
had
he'll
to.
write you. In fact,
Well,
that's
if
the
the
best.
radar detector going
doesn't it
backwards says
factor in
zero,
the
then he
car
knows
speed
it's...
too?
Nope.
So they do.
It knows how fast you're going. It's
Radar
just-
detectors, not radar detectors, radar guns, doesn't matter what band they are. They have a speed differential computer built in that is not hot science. It's very basic.
Yeah.
They're taking the known speed.
It hooks into the OBD2.
Thank you. Yeah. It taking the known speed, and then they're taking the speed of the target. And they're automatically subtracting or adding the known speed or vehicle speed from that to get the differential speed, whether it's forward or backwards. So
And you have a setting for stationary or moving.
Right, exactly. And that's how they do it.
So when you hit
But-
moving, what you do, I mean, when you hook them up, you take your regular OBD2 port, it plugs into that, you fold it back up and zip tie it, and it has another little pigtail that allows you to still get your E-check
through that cord.
through that.
Oh, okay.
And then the radar guns are hilarious because radar is actually measuring a tone. So using literal tuning forks. So the radar devices come with a set of tuning forks.
Yeah, that's what they say when it was calibrated.
When you whack the tuning fork on the dashboard or on another object, it'll be a 35 mile an hour tuning fork or a 55 mile an hour tuning fork. And you do it in front of the antenna and it reads 35 or 55 and you're like, ta-da, it's done. My radar has been calibrated.
Right.
Yeah. But it is a hokey thing. However,
I'm going to tell you, the super secret is this, is that the units are supposed to get sent in.
That's right.
For an actual, to the manufacturer for a super, the super
calibration,
which that never happens. So
ever.
if you're in court and you have a good lawyer and he really wants to be like,
know when that
you got
thing
pulled
went
over in Cleveland? Well, Cleveland hasn't sent from the
Not
day
since
that radar was installed in the car and went into and got taken out and put into 3 different cars. It has never gone back and got a recalibrate. It does not have a valid certificate.
And the thing that trumps it all is not the radar. The best thing is when the officer says that they were pacing you. So then the pacing citations, that's the oldest, the oldest measure. And I know people who I know cops that have written hundreds of pacing citations because it's really easy to sneak up on somebody. But everyone tries to fight a pacing citation, and it is like the hardest thing to fight because the cop is saying, I observed your speed for a really long time.
Right.
How long? Well, long enough to see your license plate, read your license plate, send it off, get it back, and still be behind you.
Right.
And so if I say you were going 86, I was behind you going 86.
Yeah, there's no equipment failure. There's no anything.
Right. Yeah.
Well, even beyond that, they can just observe your speed. I've been pulled over where I didn't get hit by radar.
Right.
But one of the things you do when you're training for that is you go and set up. You have to just sit there and watch cars.
Yep.
And
Visual estimation of speed.
You have to guess their speed and write it down.
Yeah.
And you have to be within so many miles per hour. And so you sit there and you do that, and you have this sheet that you have done that, and you've been accurate within 1 or 2 miles an hour for 40 vehicles.
Right.
And now you can present that in court and say, even without radar, I have enough experience.
A visual estimation of speed.
By listening to cars and pacing them, I can tell exactly how fast they were
Which,
going.
of course, is all bullshit because they've proven that a car with its headlights on appears to be moving faster than the car with its headlights off.
And a zero appears to be moving slower than a motorcycle with loud pipes.
Right, because it has no noise whatsoever.
But they went...
And smaller cars appear to be moving faster than larger cars. Yeah.
They went. You can hear a car, and that's what they told you to focus on is the sound of the car moving. You can hear the whir, the whoosh as it's passing through it.
Yeah.
And you see cars that are going the right speed.
Yeah.
And when you hear a car going too fast, you can hear it making a different sound.
And we were trained to write our citations in a certain way that said, at this time in this location, I observed a vehicle which I believed to be violating the posted limit. And I confirmed that using my KA band laser or my X band or my KA band radar or my X band radar.
Not to derail this.
Yes.
But that truck that just drove by was a female driving it.
Yeah.
And the truck's name was In Heat.
In Heat?
Oh. In Heat.
That's hilarious.
That was pretty awesome.
You must be able to climb this high to get into my pants. Yeah, because that was a very tall truck.
It was a very tall truck.
To get on this ride. Yeah.
It's higher than giraffe pussy.
It was very much higher than giraffe pussy. That was a very tall truck. Yeah.
It takes 2 people to have sex with an ostrich. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Oh my God.
It was a sick ostrich, though.
Exactly. It had to be a sick ostrich. I've thought about
Allegedly.
This. It would have to be a sick ostrich. Does anybody else got anything else? Anybody buy anything else weird?
What do you think, Nick? What's going on with your life? You've been quiet.
I'm going to go get a beer.
I've been looking at new cars.
Okay.
Why, Nick?
Which is, it is against every fiber of my being to buy a new car.
Okay.
But I'm tempted.
But there's lots of really cool new cars out there.
And there's lots of really good deals, like 0% financing and stuff like that. I mean, it's tempting.
You've got a good job. You've got good credit.
Right.
Assuming.
Allegedly.
But
once he gets over the ostrich thing, he'll be all right.
What's hitting the top of the list?
Right now, my number one choice is the Hyundai Veloster N.
Okay.
Which is their Civic Type R killer. So it's got 275 horsepower. It's
coming out of a V6.
It's an inline 4.
Do
they have an option to not call it a Veloster?
No, they do not. Unfortunately, they do not have the option to not have the lopsided doors.
Does it have wings and short arms?
Sounds like herpes zoster.
A Velociraptor?
I have seen like aftermarket badges for it that are just a Velociraptor. Yeah,
a Velociraptor.
I don't know. I've also been looking at the Civic Type R and the Volkswagen Golf R, stuff like that. Any hot hatches.
You don't want to get a WRX?
New-ish car, because I mean, like that's my favorite move is to buy.
Right.
My favorite move is to buy like a 3 or 4 year old car from Texas or somewhere where nobody's ever seen salt.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just said it's against every fiber of my being to buy a new car.
There goes a running Fiat.
What? Impossible.
Impossible.
I mean, I've also been looking at older cars like Infiniti G35s or stuff like that. Honestly,
Buick LeSabre.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The problem is as soon as I say that I'm looking at a certain car, somebody's like, "Oh, well, why don't you check this out?" And then all of a sudden, the scope widens.
Yeah, it gets wider.
Well, shit. Now, if I can look at that, then I can look at all these other cars.
Do you know I keep looking at importing these cars from Japan that are the exact same as they've had their 4 beers and Smedleys and they're rolling out now. They that are the exact same cars as American cars because parts availability, but condition. So like if you look at the Toyota equivalent to a Lexus, so if you look at a 1995, what we sold in America as a Lexus, they had that in Japan as a Toyota, and with every single stinking option the same as the American one. It's just that it hasn't seen 25 winters.
Right.
And it's gotten the world's greatest service and got a new timing belt every 50,000 kilometers because the Japanese do maintain the living hell out of their cars.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh, well, if I could do that, one, it's got historical plates on it from day one, should I choose to do that.
Right.
Two, we know parts are cheap because the things were sold here in America. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go buy parts for a 95 Lexus.
Right. It's a Lexus IS 300 versus a Toyota Altezza.
Altezza, right. And they're the exact same fucking car.
Yep.
And just the steering wheel's on the wrong side, which if you can adjust to that, everything's golden.
I think I prefer riding on the right-hand side.
Right?
It's safe to say, though,
I actually do.
Yeah.
it's safe to say you're looking for something 4-cylinder turbo, that type of.
I mean, I'm not locked into a 4-cylinder turbo. I'm just.
What
I
about
want something.
would you take a 370Z with a V6?
That's another thing.
300 horsepower?
Right.
And that's those Nissans.
Yeah. It's the same thing because I was looking at the Hyundai Veloster N, which has 275 horsepower for $30,000.
Exactly.
Versus, but then I started looking at the 370Z, which is like 320 horsepower for the same price. And
exactly.
It's like, or even at that point, V6 Camaros or Mustangs.
What about a nice like Supra or a Skyline or something like that?
What's the twin turbo Kia?
The Stinger.
The Stinger.
Yeah,
But those are ridiculously expensive, right?
They're a little bit. They're like starting at 40,000, I think.
Yeah.
600 horsepower.
600
Again,
horsepower.
Yeah.
I drive 100 horsepower in a car that weighs 1,100 pounds or something.
Right,
1,200
it's all about
pounds.
power to weight.
And I'm like, this thing could get a little hairy. I don't know if I can handle this. Oh boy, I can really feel that freaking torque steer.
And the thing is, fast cars just make your motorcycle insurance cost more.
Yeah, that's true too. That is true. Yeah, I've never been, since I quit being a car guy, I've never even had a hint of it come back.
Yeah, me neither.
So like once I broke the car guy gene, everything I have is just small and stupid.
Phil, I know you drive trucks and vans and stuff.
Yeah.
But what would you consider your last daily driver that wasn't a truck or a van?
Jesus Christ.
Kia Stinger's only 365. I'm sorry.
365.
I don't know. Maybe there's a version that puts out 600. I don't know. But
That's crazy. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I had like a 92 Honda Accord.
Yeah.
And I had a 90 Volkswagen GT. Not a GTI, a GT. Economical.
Didn't you have a purple blue the Sabre?
I had a Oldsmobile Le Sabre, a French Sword, but that was one of those cars that was like somebody died and they were like, we need to make this car disappear. Phil will give us money for it. And it had no miles, but I did. That was a winter beater for like 3 years.
What about an STI?
I did everything with it.
An STI would be great. The other problem is,
what about a GTI?
Volkswagen syndrome.
And also, my fiance had a '96 Volkswagen Jetta, and it burnt a barn down and everything that was in it. So I have
I'm
this.
thinking that's not the car's fault.
I have this inherent distrust of Volkswagen.
I do too. After my 90 GT,
yeah,
I will admit that I will never trust another Volkswagen, even though my wife could be sold on the idea of the Volkswagen new body style Beetle, long nose Beetle, convertible. She's like, I like those. Those are very attractive cars.
Don't they make those in a turbo or something
yeah,
too?
They do all those fun things.
I mean,
but I'm
sure there's nothing wrong with them. But there's just something about it that I mean, I have been looking at like the Golf GTI R,
right,
and stuff like that. But I don't know.
There you go, just like that. There you go.
What the fuck is making that
built
noise?
or that's
the truck?
That
the
S10
pickup
has a
truck's
V8.
got a small block in it with a roller cam, et cetera, in that little S10.
Oh, I was like, I don't see the vehicle making this noise.
No, the Civic, I hope they do go. This would be a really fun if they just went for it right now.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. But they're not going to because life is...
What is that, a Civic Si?
That's a Civic Si. No, they're gonna pull away with no sort of enthusiasm whatsoever. Nobody's willing to lose that race.
The S10 waited for a second too.
It did. It did.
Yeah, go ahead.
It hung back. It was
Come
like,
on.
I'm going to see if this SI is going to stab it.
Right.
Yeah.
So the other problem is, I see all of these. I've been seeing like CRX SI, like a 91 CRX SI for like $4,000.
Right. Exactly.
On Facebook Marketplace, and I've always wanted a CRX.
Right.
But I tell Amber about it, and she's like, "You're not buying an old car. Don't
buy an old car.
If you buy that SI."
Right.
you need to get rid of the Fiat 124.
I can
It's
tell
true.
you,
A
I
modern-
rebuilt a CRX SI from the ground up, put a B18C in it, turbocharged it, 3-puck racing clutch, whole body, the whole thing. And I had like 20 grand into it. And when I finally sold it, I got $6,500 for it.
Man, you killed it on that one.
They just those cars, they don't
It's-
Yeah, more often.
It's safe to say you will not be buying a Mustang or a Corvette.
No, leave that for Cameron.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Hey, Cam's
Get
at
a
the track
Bronco.
racing his
I
6-cylinder
looked into
Mustang
it.
tonight.
Oh, is he really?
That is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
What does that 4-cylinder have? It has 270
yeah,
horsepower.
no, it's turbo 4. I was looking at the Broncos. The problem with the Broncos, I need a car relatively soon,
Oh, okay.
not in 2 years.
Right.
What about
Buy a
Audi
beater until
TT?
then.
All-wheel drive?
What?
An Audi TT? The
An
little.
Audi TT?
What about BMW
No,
2000?
They're
Hey,
going for relatively
Volkswagen
cheap.
product.
Allowed to own an Audi past the payment window. The front end will collapse, and you will owe $9 million to fix the front end of an Audi.
Well, it's the whole Volkswagen thing all over again,
Right.
for me. But
It's a very hard car to hit a pothole in when they're 6 years old.
I got an 06 Prius for you.
There you go.
196,000 miles.
There
on
you
it.
go.
I'm telling
See?
you, dude, BMW 2002.
Oh my God.
jeez.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah. There you go.
Get an M5.
Yeah?
the jury's still out. Let's
I
put
think
it that way.
I think
I'm
there's a
still
lot
looking.
to be said. I think your girlfriend is on the right track
Yeah.
with the modern and reliable being the primary two words.
Yeah.
You need to have one vehicle that is absolutely dead balls reliable.
Buick. That rules out Kia.
Yeah. No.
What
I
does
will say that
Mazda
was like
make?
driving
Mazda
a
makes some
cloud.
sporty cars.
Mazda 3.
Not enough.
4-person trunk.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I just
I
can't
love the air
stand
ride
Mazdas.
suspension. That was so great.
I think
Mazda.
Oh, we have
Nissan passed the ugly stick over to Mazda.
I would like to. We must acknowledge the passing of a dear and loyal friend. You will notice the parking lot is missing.
Well, and the street's missing something too.
Yeah. So
Oh no.
our beloved Betty White,
Oh.
the replacement for Black Betty,
It didn't need a starter.
it didn't need a starter. And much as I had thought, the noise was too violent. So what happened is it had been sitting here for a while. I've been moving it around as you do at a motorcycle shop, move the van around for different missions and stuff. And Betty White, we did not put many miles on Betty White. Betty White was bought cheap. Betty White was bought with, over 100,000 miles already on it. Later found out that the speedometer and the odometer was not reliable. That the speedometer was reliable, but the odometer was not reliable. And so its statement that it had 113,000 miles was probably a fucking bald-faced lie. So I noticed in driving the truck many, many miles that at no point was the odometer ever reliable. I was trying to peg my mileage, and I'd be like, I've been driving all day. I'm down to nothing. How could I have only gone 116 miles? And I realized there was a defect there. So when they sold it to me, it probably didn't only have 103,000 miles on it, but it is one of the stories of a vehicle that I bought. And then, of course, I did all the Phil Waters things to it. I put air ride suspension in the back end. I airbagged it. I put a class 3 hitch on it. I put in a really good head unit. I put in some decent speakers. I did all the things that I do to these things.
So rubber mask, duct tape, tarps.
Yeah. And lettered it. So it was lettered and it had all the good things. I went and did brakes all the way around. So to make it a good trailer hauling vehicle.
Right.
And that noise that it made when I turned the key was the timing chain letting go. Oh yeah. So I looked it up. So I did look at what the Ford, service manual says to replace the timing chain.
Is it a 5.4?
This was the 4.6.
4.6.
4.6, yeah. And so this was the 4.6 V8, a small 8.
The one's in all the
one that's in everything.
Yeah, the interceptors and everything.
The Triton or
You could buy a
Yeah,
Kromke
yeah.
that can take the motor out and throw it in it.
yeah, exactly. And no, we're not going there. That is like on your best day with a mechanic who's done 15 of them. No, you're not going there. You're further off to buy a motor from a junk vehicle and put it in. But another thing with these is the spark plugs tend to shatter when you try to remove them.
Oh yeah, those are.
Yeah, so every single thing I read about it was like you're gonna think you can do this job yourself. But then after you've fucked up and the 6th out of 8 spark plugs breaks off, and you have to go through extreme measures to get the rest of them out. Oh, there you go. They're on. Fat boy on a fat boy.
Maybe I should put LEDs on my motorcycle.
I think maybe LEDs on your motorcycle is exactly what you need.
Dude, that guy had the hair.
He did.
Like, he was bald, but the sides were like 17 inches long.
He had all the hair in the world, and his beard hair and his head hair mingled in the back.
But nothing on top.
He looked like Haley's Comet. Yeah. He looks special. You should have just braided all of it together. The beard hair and the ear hair, the ear hair,
the ear hair,
the head hair, and he still would have been bald on the front and the top.
Yeah.
But he would have had this majestic braid coming off the back. It would look spectacular.
Can you imagine the road rash on his head?
Oh man, I don't think about road rash as a general rule.
The Harleys are like the tire swing of motorcycles.
It is tire swing. So the Ford van, Betty White, is at Shane's shop.
Oh no.
We AAA towed it over to Shane's because George next door was giving it no love anytime soon. So we went from, I knew it made a horrible noise and I didn't think it was a starter. Everyone put their money on starter. I put my money on worse than that. And it turns out I was right.
But it wasn't running when it made a horrible noise.
No, it was literally the truck had run beautifully. And then I turned the key to just move it. Fully charged battery and everything else.
Tink.
Turned the key and it went clap. And it just went like a loud metal clack. Like you just guillotined something.
So you might be able to just put a new timing chain in it.
It's easier to go in through the rectum.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want to put a timing chain in that particular motor,
you got to thread it all the way up.
You have to thread it all the way up the tailpipe. Yeah.
But doesn't the front cover come off? It's still on the front of the motor.
So
if you take the grill out,
this is one of those things that I have consulted not one, but 3 mechanics I trust and Ryan.
Sure.
So I've got this.
I like the way you said that.
I have got it on good authority that this is about a $2,300 job.
Yeah.
And depending on the mechanic who does the work, you may or may not have things like air conditioning when you're done. Like every time I've ever known anyone to do incredibly detailed motor swapping type repair work on a car, because I do this on motorcycles.
Yeah.
But I avoid cars because cars are dirty. Like cars are dirty and rusty in places they should never be dirty or rusty. That's why I don't work on fucking cars anymore. Not unless it's like modular like a motorcycle. But so the rule is, do I want to put short game $2,300 into this van or offer it up to the gods,
That's James's van anyway.
No shit. He tried to buy that van off me like 6 months ago. I did officially say, it's yours, you can have it. Just because there was no title signed means nothing. Words were spoken. It was an oral contract.
You can't even take it to the junkyard.
Speaking of cars,
it doesn't run good enough to get to the junkyard. I'm going to have to pay somebody to take it to the junkyard. So for our podcast listeners,
it's got to be chopped up.
If anybody wants an Econoline, circa like 04, that up until this motor was epic. I mean, it's got air suspension still in it. I'm going to take my trailer hitch off. I'm going to take my speakers and head unit out. But I can't take the air suspension out. That shit's in there.
And to one lucky
podcast listener,
shipping not included.
Shipping absolutely not included. But if anybody needs a very presentable Ford Econoline work van,
ran
when parked, motherfucker. Ran when parked.
Yeah. And it never moved.
It ran when parked.
So speaking of cars, my Mitsubishi thing that I have.
Yeah.
So I get a letter in the mail from Mitsubishi and it says, "Warning. Your front cross member was not treated. Your year of your car was.
You mean you have a corrosion issue?
Yeah. So it came back and it said, but here's the best part. So it said your metal was not treated. The chance of your front cross member cracking in half is a possibility. We are rectifying this and we will send another letter out very soon and we will have this replaced within weeks."
Wow.
And then the next day I got a letter. It said, Unfortunately, this part is currently out of stock,
Yeah,
and we will be manufacturing them at some point.
It'll show up with your Takata airbags.
Try not to drive your car too much.
Oh, try not to drive your car
just
too
to
much.
summarize this, they said your member was not treated. We are rectifying the situation.
Rectify your member.
Rectifying your situation.
I'm totally going to rectify your member.
So I'm like, what am I going to do? I have to drive. I have to do that.
Nah,
I'm
you just
still
fucking
driving.
drive,
I don't
dude.
give a
You
shit.
just drive, and you hope it breaks, and they got to buy
But
you
then
a new
I'm
car.
thinking, like, there's so much stuff that's attached to that rusted thing that's also rusted and fucked up that when they take that off, they're going to break everything else.
Of course they will.
So they're going to have to fix a lot
It's
of
like the Toyota deal. They would give you a new frame. Like, they would take your truck in, and they would sprinkle all the fuck you dust around.
Yeah.
And they would, like, lift the truck up and take the frame out from underneath it. And then they would put a new frame under your truck. And that was deemed to be a better option than just giving you 150% of Kelly Blue Book to buy your truck back from you.
Yeah.
I don't know why I think it cost them $10,000 to do it.
Yeah.
And I would have gladly taken $10,000 and bought a new
Well,
truck.
so I did. So I had like 3 of those. I bought 3 of
So
those.
you were playing the game.
I was
for a
playing the
while.
game. So I was playing the Tacoma game. And so I did 3 Toyota transfers like that. One of them I had them actually change the frame on because the dealership was like, yeah, well, we were really generous with that whole 150% thing.
They had the option.
Yeah,
they could
had
say,
the option.
well, we're not going to cash out.
And so they decided to play the game. They had some guys there that learned how to change the frames pretty quickly. But then when they changed the frame, they had to change anything that touched the frame that was also compromised, which meant all kinds of fun shit, steering boxes and all kinds of crap. So essentially, your truck was way better than it was before.
I hope that's the case. I'd really like them to fix a lot of shit.
Yeah, it would be really cool, right?
So on my Tundra, they did the same thing.
Yeah.
But the rear differential was rotted out.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole axle was rotted out.
Yeah.
And they would charge me for it. I'm like,
fuck, man.
What are you charging me for? I'm like, the frame was defective. You use the same
In
metal.
what world does an axle rot out? I mean,
in the Toyota world, it's
I mean,
like all that
John,
stuff is,
there are
the plastic rust.
65 Scout 800s buried in a field somewhere that you could pull out, and if you could get it running, you could beat the hell out of it, and the axles aren't going to rust out.
I had a 96 Econoline, and the absolute irony and kick in the balls is that my oil pan rotted out.
Dude, I can see that. I could see
my
that.
wife's
That's
Jeep.
metal.
My wife's old Jeep did that. I went to change her oil, and I went like this to take the thing out, and the whole fucking oil pan ripped in half and fell out.
Well, Merritt's Hyundai, which is a 2016, that's new, recent, right? So 2016, it's got 36,000 miles on it, so it's had like 4 or 5 oil changes. It's had the requisite number of oil changes for a Hyundai. The service intervals are not what you think they are.
Up to about 6.
Yeah, about 6,000 miles per service interval, I think. But anywho, she's going down the road, check engine light comes on, she does the right thing, pulls over the side of the road, immediately looks underneath and says, oh my God, there's oil everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And those have that big plastic pan underneath the car, so it's like the whole car is a giant plastic pan underneath
so it's
it.
all oil.
So oil is coming out all over the underside of the car, like the front of the car, the back of the car, it's just oil dripping out everywhere. So it looks like the rear seats are leaking oil. For all intents and purposes, it looks like the trunk is leaking oil. But that's the way it works because you have a giant plastic pan under the car for increased aerodynamic efficiency and places for shit to rust.
Yes.
So I told her, go into the Quickie Mart, buy 3 quarts of oil, check the stick, nothing on the stick, put in 3 quarts of oil, drive to your sister's house 5 miles away, as prudently as deemed efficient and safe, and you'll be fine. Well, meanwhile, Billy Joe Jim Bob shows up with a fucking lift truck, right? So dude shows up with a wrecker with the forks on the back, and he's like, yep, I used to work for Hyundai. That's a blown motor. You know that anywhere. Yep, those Hyundais, man, fucking blow motors like nobody's business. That thing's got a blown motor. The good news is, though, it's got a 10-year warranty. They're going to give you a new motor. You get a brand new motor. It's great. We tell you what we'll do. We'll just I got this tow truck right here. We'll just throw you in the back. $160 will get you right over to the Hyundai dealership.
$160.
He says, hold on, I'm going to lift it up and take a look at it. So he puts the forks underneath and lifts the front of the fucker up. He lays on his back, comes out and says, oh, yeah, it's blown motor. It's no big deal. Hyundai get a brand new one. They do it all the time. And my wife calls me, and I'm at the Hearst the Hearst show?
Yeah.
So I'm at the Hearst rally, and she's giving me this call about how her Hyundai, the most reliable car in our fleet, has got a blown up motor. And I'm like, fuck that. And I'm like, first of all, how dare you let a man put your car up on fucking forks? Like,
Yeah.
What the fuck? You're my wife. You're a goddamn genius. Now you're in his pocket. Like, is it going to cost you $100 to put it down?
Yeah, right.
Like, don't ever let a man with a tow truck put your shit up in the air. No. I used to repo cars for a living. It's a scam.
Yeah.
So I'm like, tell the nice man to put your fucking car back on the ground. Tell him to go fuck his hat. And then do exactly what I told you to do, which is dump 3 or 4 quarts of oil in it and get to your sister's house post fucking haste. So, all right. So I hear her negotiating with Cletus in the background. And I'm like, no, put Cletus on the phone. I will beat your ass through this phone, motherfucker. Put her car down right now, or I will rain down upon you hellfire like you've never seen before as soon as I get back from the hearse rally. He put the car down.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Yeah. This guy has a hearse?
I don't want to fuck with this guy.
Don't fuck with a guy who has a way to transport your body as a
Without
social
anybody
event.
knowing.
Literally as a social event. Like my car is not doing its job until you're in it. Yeah.
You go back, everybody's like, dude, Phil's got a real body. Yeah.
Super authentic. You know what? Diorama, 5 stars. Yeah. Way to go, ground. You know, your ground scenery is remarkably good. And he looks so dead. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
There's oil coming out from his can.
I took the car into Hyundai, and you know, I put it in the back of my trailer, or Dan's trailer. So I put the Hyundai in the back of Dan's trailer, take the car over to Hyundai, get over there, and they call me back like, their customer service in Hyundai, by the way, is white glove. It's spectacular. We should all learn a lesson about good customer service from Hyundai. They were magical. And I'm sure that had they decided to actually do any work to my car, it would have been astronomically expensive. But since it was under warranty, it turned out to be the oil filter had rusted out.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to say that again for the cheap seats. The oil filter had rusted out. So it was an STP oil filter. It said STP on the side of it in blazing blue letters and red like Superman America. And it had actually rusted around the entire seam of the oil filter where they had like shitty welded it together. And we did check because she did have her service done at Hyundai while she was having a warranty thing done. So she had her oil. They put that fucking filter on.
Was it Cletus that put it on?
No, it was somebody at Hyundai, right? You know, so yeah.
Man.
So,
Richard Petty
It's
is
probably my
turning
neighbor
in his
Pat,
grave.
who's a Hyundai mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
My old neighbor.
Yeah, it was very fun. So they're like, okay, well, look, we're checking the motor. We're putting a camera down the plug holes. And if anything looks not right, we're going to give you a new motor. Yeah.
I'd just say, do that, please.
And so what? Well, but then you see, when you get a new motor in a car, things start to work not right.
Really?
So I don't know if you've ever replaced a motor in a car.
Same.
Here's the rule when it comes to cars in today's world. What Japan or Korea hath assembled, let no man disassemble and reassemble outside of captivity, because shit just won't work right.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Right.
I'll tell you his story was rebuilding a CVT transmission 4 times. He's like, I rebuilt the transmission. Every time I put it in, you start the car up, it runs good. You put it in drive. As soon as you drive it, ka-thunk.
Right.
And it would go right from first to the highest
To the
range
maximum
and
range.
snap the band or something. Like, you know, it was like, he's like, I took it apart.
Right.
I spec'd it. I did everything. You know, like every little thing 4 times in a row. And he's like, look, this is insanity.
Right.
I obviously, for whatever reason, I can't fix this.
Right.
Send me a new transmission.
Send me a new transmission.
You know, after that was after 1 and 2.
Oh my God, yes.
After 3, he's like, what do you want me to do?
Right.
I don't know. You know, like they come and they make contact, and they're you know, it was something with like the wheel, you know, the pulleys or something would go, and they'd make contact and lock up, and he's like, I cannot do anything.
We documented the shit out of it. We talked to the service director. I'm like, look, if this thing gets sour at all in the next 6 years, you're replacing this motor. And he's like, yeah, no questions asked. It's all documented. That's great. We took pictures of the bullshit STP oil filter rotted out. But, you know, we've had K&N filters here at the shop that have the fun little fuck nugget on the end of it. So if your K&N oil filter or, K&N oil filter or any of the oil filters that have the welded on little nut on the end to help you, you know. And what's funny is there's different filters have different lines, and like the racing line usually are the ones that have the little nut welded to the end of it. It's like the pro filter, the racing filter. Well, whatever robot welded those things together, they tend to fuck off. And so if you have a K&N oil filter, they won't let you on the racetrack. So they'll check, part of tech is they'll check the oil filter. And if you have that oil filter, Mid-Ohio's good enough, they will change your oil for free.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Do they think that people are using that nut to tighten it on?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Take it off,
does
more or
anybody
less.
use a wrench to put a oil filter?
1,000% of my customers.
Oh, I've had to chew oil filters off.
Literally.
You know, like it starts out mild. You put a thing on it. That's not getting it.
No.
Then you get like something else. Then you go, oh fuck it. I gotta pound a screwdriver through it and try to get it off that way.
Yeah.
And it
21
just
millimeter
twists
nut.
off. The whole bottom twists off. Now you're like
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What is it? A 19 millimeter or 21 millimeter nut on the end of those oil filters.
Right.
And people get on there and reef on it with the biggest wrench they can find.
The problem is you have, a threaded thing that is maybe a 3/4 of an inch.
Maybe. Yeah.
But it's,
going through a canister.
A 2.5 inch round diameter surface that it's mating to.
Oh yeah.
And so if you get that really tight, there is so much. It takes so much to get that off. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
And a lot of people don't put a little film of oil on the gasket.
You forget all the basic rules.
And it's the same like when you get your oil changed at some of these places. If you're in a hurry or something like that, I don't know what gorilla they have in the pit, but that dude has like 47 foot-pounds of torque on the
just on his hand.
No, on the not the filter, but the plug. Like the plug.
The drain plug.
Yeah, because I've like in the winter when like I don't feel like laying on the garage and doing it. You need to get an oil change. I'll go to an oil change place. And then in spring, I'm like, oh, fucking do it myself. And then you're under there with like a 3-foot torque bar trying to not destroy your fucking oil pan to get the thing off.
I remember one of the first projects that I worked on when I was a new mechanic at Pride of Cleveland Scooters way back when. It was a beautiful green CB 350 that I was going through and I was getting it up and running. And
was it a 4 or a twin?
It was a twin.
It was a twin. It looked like new.
The drain plug was stuck like a fuck. And I had a breaker bar on. I had everything. And I'm like, God damn. I'm like, and it was one of those moments where I'm like, well, I'm not breaking this fucker. I'm going to go get Phil.
Go get Phil. Let Phil break this shit.
And literally, I held it on with a 2.5, 3 foot breaker bar while Phil put his foot on it and kicked it. And it was like, well, it's either going to come up or it's going to break.
It's going to break. One of the two. Yeah.
And it came out, but it was like, holy fuck, that thing was so
oh my
tight.
God. Would anyone like to guess, just for fun? I'm going to pull the numbers up. We don't have the screen, so unfortunately, don't have that. So
we could pantomime it.
We could pantomime it. Yeah, we absolutely could. So would anyone like to guess what the torque spec is for the Ducati? Any of the Ducatis, we'll say Diavel or Multistrada or whatever. Would anyone like to guess what the torque spec is of the that one giant fucking round, like big nut, so that you could go into the pits and knock the rear wheel off so quickly, put the rear wheel on and put the nut back on, and then put the cotter pin in and go, you're off for another lap. One of those, right?
A quick change.
It's a big fucking 55
nut. Yeah,
55 millimeter one fucking nut.
250 foot-pounds.
Yeah, I was going to say 250, right around there.
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing that we've had happen, and we've had a lot of these come in, and we've experienced this problem on a lot of these bikes. Apparently, the torque spec on it is 230 Newton meters.
Wow.
Okay.
Whatever that is, we'll do a quickie.
Communist unit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we'll 230 NB
to FP
in foot pounds. All right, there we go. Let's see.
1 billion.
1 billion foot pounds. That's 170 foot pounds.
Wow.
Or 130 pound feet, if you want to get the accurate right.
Well, you see, I went and watched Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah.
And you see in the pits where they have a 6 foot fucking breaker bar to get those little speed lugs off.
Oh, yeah.
Or back then, they used to have the hammer with like the 3 spikes, and they'd whack it with the
knockoffs.
fucking...
Yeah. So you had knockoffs, and I've had knockoffs on a few of my old British cars. But this, so we have a picture
of
You have a knockoff drive shaft.
I will say that the 130 foot-pounds is about the right axle torque for the one nut
for the one nut.
for a front-wheel drive car.
All right. It is. So we have this photograph of Sparky hanging from a 6-foot-long cheater pipe. And Sparky's about 175 pounds, 180 pounds. And he is hanging in the air at the end of a 6-foot-long cheater pipe. So that's 6 times 200, Colin.
Yeah.
That's 1,200 foot-pounds. And it wasn't busting it loose.
Oh, jeez.
How we started the mission, as we do,
How do you hold the wheel?
What's that?
How do you hold the wheel from just turning? You know, like.
Well, that's the other trick, is that you put the bike in gear, and you have the biggest guy in the shop hold the rear brake.
Yeah.
So you have the biggest guy in the shop, the bike's in gear, and the biggest guy in the shop is standing on the rear brake. Now, it's a Ducati, which means the rear brakes don't work most of the time. That's just a Ducati thing. And then the hydraulic clutch goes while you're doing that. But so they can't make clutch fluid or brake fluid stay inside a Ducati, ever. But so we've done several of these now. And the funny thing is we have bought many of these specialized tools from Ducati that range in price between $75 and $200 that you put over this damn nut and you hook it to your Dugga-Dugga. And you know, in the world of Dugga-Duggas, there's air Dugga-Duggas and there's electric Dugga-Duggas. And the air Dugga-Duggas...
You need that thing from the tank.
Right. We need a Cinch, right? Yeah. So the air Dugga-Duggas, air is a compressible thing, right? Yeah. So people forget that one of the nicest things about pneumatic tools, as opposed to hydraulic tools, is air is compressible. Yeah. So when you fuck up with an air tool, it compresses and takes a lot of the impact away.
Right.
Pneumatic tools or hydraulic tools, on the other hand, it doesn't compress, and you can destroy shit real badly. Like when you have hydraulic energy going that way in any sort of a pump or a lift or a sleeve, you know, it will just take your fingers right off.
Or you use a lug splitter
right
to put bearing raises in, you might lose a finger.
You'd probably lose a finger, right.
Well, the AVE just had a...
Porta powers and stuff.
AVE just had a video where he showed how hydraulic fluid just coming out of a hose can kill you.
Oh, it can go right in your skin.
Pinhole can throw right through.
It goes right in your skin and poisons you under your skin. Lose fingers like that all the time.
Yeah.
So we go after this with the air Dugga-Dugga. So we go after it with the air Dugga-Dugga, thinking that's more pleasant and gentle than the electric Dugga-Dugga. Because we don't have a hydraulic Dugga-Dugga. We just have the air and the electric.
Right.
And the air is for when you need things to come apart. The electric is when there's no more negotiations. This is fucking coming apart.
Right.
So it's going to break whatever you hit if it doesn't come apart.
Right.
So with air, you can kind of dial it up and dial it down. And we tried that, and the air was getting nowhere with this.
You tried being nice.
We did. And then you grab the tool that just says Harbor Freight on the side. And we've written in Sharpie, motherfucker, on the side. Because if you hold the trigger on this electric impact wrench from Harbor Freight, it will break your fucking wrist now.
Yeah, same dude.
Yeah.
He did the Harbor Freight, what is it, Earthquake or
the
something?
Earthquake
XL.
I have an Earthquake XL, yeah.
And then what's the big expensive brand? Snap-on or something?
Yeah.
And he put them toe to toe, and like the Snap-on had like less torque than the fucking Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight just lets it go.
Yeah.
But we have the Earthquake in the back, and it did not successfully do the job.
Wow.
When that doesn't work, we bring out the electric. And bringing out the electric is just cheating. And it's also accepting the fact you're going to destroy whatever you're putting it on.
I'm surprised you don't have the 3/4 inch Harbor Freight 2-handled fucking big pneumatic semi-truck fucker.
Because, again, these are motorcycles, not chessy railway cars, you know? We're not working on fucking, you know, like literally 1-to-1 scale Lionel trains around here. We're working on fucking motorcycles. We shouldn't own that shit. In fact, owning it is a sign of a problem. We do have the big red kit from Harbor Freight that has the giant 2-foot-long breaker bar and the giant 55mm, all the cool big giant metric
You live
sizes.
by the 3/4 inch drive air pneumatic hammer fucker. You die by it.
We put the electric on it. Electric didn't move it 1 inch. So we did. We put a 6-foot breaker bar and a 175-pound man at the end of it. And that's what broke it free. After we destroyed 3 of these tools using the air and the electric. Because the tool dies.
The nut doesn't come off.
Right.
You just destroy the tool.
Yeah.
So the socket fucking couldn't make it. The socket couldn't hang. You'll never hear that bike shift into second gear, by the way. That's our friend Harry Palace, who runs Nick's Diner on the near west side. Harry bought that V-Rod years ago and has never put any oil in the transmission. So about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we diagnosed his transmission as being dry, and that's why it wouldn't shift into second gear, and he could only put it into neutral when the motor was turned off.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I wonder if he got that from the guy who owned Line on the Rain, who had that same problem.
Well, again, that Porsche motor that's in those V-Rods, it's like a Harley designed by Porsche, so it has like tolerances, which Harleys don't normally do tolerances.
Right.
And so you do have to change the transmission oil in those every so often.
Oh, wow.
Right? And as opposed to the Harley Davidsons, which doesn't really matter.
No.
But they're going to,
Usually they run out of meth in the crank.
in the crank.
Yeah, so
Crank,
that's-
technically. Well, he's rides that bike that way because he cannot go into second gear. So he goes first, third, and he brings it back again. And then to get neutral, he has to turn the bike off.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he brought it by the shop one time because none of the lights were working. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. All the lights aren't working. And I went, yeah, it's a V-Rod. And you've stabbed it with screwdrivers, didn't you? He's like, yeah, well, I don't know. And I was like, yeah, we're not touching that. And then he's like, well, it also doesn't seem to shift into second anymore. So I was like, okay, let me check. And I was like, there's no oil in it.
Yeah.
He goes, should I put oil in it? I'm like, yes.
You might need that.
No.
Metal that's contacting metal usually requires.
Oh, anybody want to
some
buy
type
a
of-
Buddy 125?
Oh god.
I have one. And I
It
love
came in with 1 tablespoon of oil in it.
It's fine though.
7,900 miles and
Yeah.
6 years since its last oil change. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Put some oil in it. It'll go for another.
That's how long it takes to go through 28 ounces of your 32 ounces of oil.
Right.
Yeah. And it makes a really, really interesting noise from the bottom end. It does
Sure
run.
it does.
She rode it over here from the heights with 4 ounces of oil in the motor.
Wow.
Who
It
who
fucking
is
runs.
this person?
I love it when
person.
you pull that train.
Do they own a
plug out,
restaurant?
you get, like 2 drips.
Yeah.
It's like that's what was held in the little cup.
That's what, yeah. Sparky showed me the oil that came out of it, and it was basically just metal shavings holding oil together.
Nice.
And I was like, wow, and it ran. She rode it over here.
What color bike?
Green.
Okay.
Yeah, she rode it over here. And it was fucking, I was like, and pulling it into the shop, I was like, tack. I was like, this is not good.
Well, I see a black one in the Heights that lives by me somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'll be on my red one, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" You know?
Yeah.
And we were at a stoplight one day, and they pulled up, and this thing's like, and I was like, "This thing, it's dying."
Takes incredible violence to kill a buddy.
Yeah, it really does.
They're one of the greatest motors I've ever experienced, but it does take a lot of violence to kill a buddy. There's not much that you should ever, honestly, you shouldn't ever.
I only had to. I rebuilt one buddy, and that was a buddy that somebody was riding on the highway and never put oil in.
Never put oil in,
and vaporized all the oil out, and
I think that's the deal with this one too. I think that 6 years and 9,000 or 8,000 miles didn't help, but I think she cooks on the highway quite a bit too. But
It's
no
funny
oil will kill any motor.
because a buddy says right on the headstock, change oil every 600
It literally
kilometers.
says that on the fucking headstock. So it does recommend way too frequent oil changes.
Yeah, that's nothing.
I thought it was for the first 1,000 or 600,
It says
and then 1,000
the first
after that.
600 kilometers or 500 kilometers,
Yeah.
and then every 1,000 kilometers
That's
after
it.
that.
That's it.
You're
Yep.
changing the oil more frequently than you're putting gas in it
Right,
at that
right.
point. But yeah, it is hilarious. Anybody own Harley Davidson stock?
No.
Woo! Not a good time to own Harley Davidson stock.
Where's it going?
Not the great way. No, it's going into the goddamn Harley shaped dumper. It is really, really ugly right now. It's a bad time. So they have a new CEO, and they're really, really in bad shape. I hate to say it this way, but every motorcycle shop I work with in town, we're all singing the same thing. We're all like, dude, we're selling bikes. We're selling bikes like fucking crazy because social distancing has got people going like, I can't have fun any other way. I either used to know how to ride a motorcycle or I still can ride a motorcycle. I'm buying a motorcycle because motorcycles are like instant gratification. And like you can go from not having fun to having fun really quickly with a motorcycle. Helmet or no helmet, it's up to you. But The Harley guys.
I hope Polaris buys them out.
Oh my god.
Oh,
that'd be awesome.
Oh my god.
All Harley Davidsons become three-wheel, two-wheel,
That
like
would
this
be
fucked up looking
No.
Polaris.
And
Wait a
they're
second.
all made in Canada.
Yeah.
But
you know
wait a
what's
second,
more
they all
likely to
become
happen?
liquid cooled and they all run really well
Right.
and they're all.
What is actually more likely to happen, frankly, motorcycle
Thumb
companies. Motorcycle companies' history lesson in the past 5 years would be they'd be bought by an Indian company.
Yeah.
They're held by a
Because-
holding company. They got bought by. They're being held by what is it? Not Deloitte. Oh shit! What's the big equity firm that buys up companies? Oh, I can't think of the name, but oh well.
Yeah, well,
Hathaway or
A hedge fund,
Berkshire,
one of those-
Berkshire Hathaway.
Berkshire Hathaway?
Yeah.
Something along that, but not that one.
Yes,
It'll
I
be
just bought my
Tata Davidson.
2022 Bajaj Sportster.
Bajaj Davidson.
Because I read an article about.
oh, you
this.
did?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't look into it at all.
How may I be
So-
helping you, Davison?
Sorry.
Oh.
Would you like a purple squishy with your motorcycle?
And then when you leave the store, come again.
It is Harley Davidson Motor Group LLC, so that's the parent organization. The Harley Davidson Motor Group Incorporated, according to the Wikipedias. But that is, I mean, let me see here. It says subsidy arrangements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of information about this, so that's quite something.
No, I could be wrong.
It's okay, but the interesting thing, it's they have manufacturing in York, Pennsylvania, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Kansas City, Missouri, which is closed now. That's closed. And
All of Kansas City's closed?
what's that? Just yeah. Well, they just gave up. They were like, it's too confusing.
We're not a city.
Yeah, we're a city and we're a state at the same time. We're named after one state, but we're in a different state. It's really strange. Manaus, Brazil, Bawai, India, and they did build a plant in Thailand. They started building a plant in Thailand in 2018, but I don't know if they finished it. So who knows, right? But the long and short of it is, this is a really, really weird time because unless somebody can tell me otherwise, I did pay a visit recently to our Harley Davidson dealer down the street, and he is not having a supply chain problem. So he is not running out of motorcycles the way that some of us are running out of motorcycles. So it's a very weird thing that in certain parts of the motorcycle segment, bikes are selling faster than anybody can get them in.
Well, you can't buy a Harley Davidson on stimulus money.
And that's true too. And that might be a big part of why we're selling so many. And yet it's weird that we're selling our TNT 135s like fucking crazy. Very, very hard to get those in time. Still got a back order list on those. You struck while the iron was perfectly hot, by the way. You got yours the last day we had one to sell to to you.
Yeah.
Everyone else has had to wait. But Vespas too. Like Vespas we cannot possibly get enough of them to cover. They also have a problem because they have 20 fucking color options. So that makes it more confusing.
Well,
So
maybe Indians are just better at building Harley Davidsons.
Well, and this is that weird thing. It's a very, very strange thing where it is. Harley Davidson shares at one point, 2007, were up to $70 a share.
Mm-hmm.
And they have fallen off the S&P. So
What are they down to now?
I'll tell you right now.
Buy low, sell high?
Well, it is
Usually
really.
have it, but I switched phones, so.
Oh yeah. That is one of those things that it's the first time ever it's been outside. It's been off the charts, so the wrong way. So it's at 2603 right now.
Nice.
So it's at 20. It had dropped as low as. No, today it dropped to 25. So today it dropped to 25.
So now's the time to buy.
It really
Maybe
is.
touch it stack.
Well, but they
Why not?
have changed
low
it
can they
because
go?
it did go as low as $15.
Yeah.
So in April it was as low as $15, but then they did a massive stock buyback, and that's what brought them up now, and so that's why they're up to 25 right now.
That Fortnite dude did a whole video on the the death of Harley Davidson, he called it.
Right.
So, but when they do that stock split stuff, that's just numbers for them,
It's
right?
literally
it's
just
they're basically fucking themselves in the long run, right?
Yeah. To go from over $60 a share to $15 a share is really, really creepy.
But the thing is,
and to do that in 2 years.
But then, but there's more to it than that. Like when they do that stock split, it gives them like a balance line to work with cash. But it's just they're just using their own. They're basically lending themselves.
Lending themselves money.
But it also makes it when you do a split.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes the stock more attractive. For people to buy it. So
that's true.
It raises your capital in the entire system.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, stocks are kind of stupid. I mean, I think stocks are kind of stupid. I mean,
right now they're a very bad marker.
Bonds make sense because bonds, it's basically getting a loan from a group of people, and then eventually it's retired. But a stock, like once your initial IPO is paid out, and if you're retaining more than 51% of your stock, then what's the point of having the stock? I mean, I mean, it's basically gambling.
Yeah, right.
And what they're calling for right now is they really do see that it's lost over 50% of its value. And what they're suggesting is, at this point, it doesn't just seem like it's a hiccup. They're saying it's turned into a deterioration of the value of the company.
Wow.
And a lot of the stuff that we were excited to see at the motorcycle show last year, when we looked at the Pan America, we looked at the Bronx, it's all been canceled.
Oh, really?
That's all canceled. So those products that they put a lot of time and money into using as a way to re-energize their marketplace and get younger people into it, or adventure riders into it, that's done. They're shutting those off.
They can only afford to make like what they can, their legacy stuff. Like they can't afford to research and develop. They can't afford to open new manufacturing. They're lucky if they can keep the molds that they already own going.
The problem is too that they have like 25 different more than 25 bikes.
And it is, and that was the joke, is you could buy a Softail 18 different ways, and that really was that was a tough thing. Their strategies have been called like rewire. And the new strategy, so they had the rewire strategy and they turned that into the hardwire strategy.
Right.
And of course they have the live wire product.
It still implies that they're going to start selling electric motorcycles, which they really aren't.
Right. And that's been Little Bronco.
That's a V8. That's a V8 Bronco 2?
Yeah, it's Bronco 2 for sure. It's Bronco 2 for sure.
They don't come with V8s.
No, I had when it was a 6.
I think that's probably a suitable V8.
Yeah.
I like how it's in OJ Simpson white.
It is an OJ Simpson.
It looked good.
So what? Is that like when Urkel kills his wife?
Are they going to have an OJ edition?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
That's the new Bronco. I do not understand why.
It does 30.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you drive from the back seat.
Free pair of undersized gloves in the glove compartment.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Did you see that they were going to release the Bronco on his birthday?
Oh,
and they changed it. No, seriously.
God.
Oh, it was just like random. It happened like that.
Yeah, and so they moved it like ahead 4 days, so that it wouldn't happen.
Oh man,
that's amazing.
That's spectacular.
It was either the birthday or the car chase. It was one of those
like an anniversary or something OJ related.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah, right.
They should have put the pedal to metal and just done it.
So our friend Chris, we have a friend named Chris who's an attorney, and he has a white Bronco of the correct vintage.
Right.
And his license plate has said for ages, not OJ. It is. He's local here. He lives in Lakewood too. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So since you're on the financial end of the the podcast, I read recently that Remington Arms has declared bankruptcy.
No way.
That's what I was mistaken about that. After I said that about Harley Davidson, then I was sitting there thinking, was that Harley or was that some other company? And it was another company, and it was Remington.
Remington Arms.
Are you kidding me?
And do you see who's in line to purchase Remington Arms?
Who?
The Navajo Nation.
Yes, that was one of them. It was they're trying to make a package. They were negotiating with the Navajo Nation or one of the major. Yes.
I love everything about that.
So, so talk about the world coming back to bite you in the ass. Huh?
Yeah, right.
Why? I'm still confused. How in the fucking hell can Remington? Can Remington?
They were saying they got hit really hard after the whole Bushmaster thing and the Sandy Hook, and they were getting a lot of pressure on that.
No.
Really? I guess.
AR-15s and all
they
those
spent a lot of money settling lawsuits and stuff, but they filed bankruptcy like twice.
Yeah.
They're in bankruptcy again.
Now.
They're
Yeah.
just trying to like kind of make it a package to try to sell it to find a
You
buyer.
can't find a gun to buy. Like every place I know that sells
Sold
guns
out.
to idiots,
They're
like the
screwed
retail
over.
gun
sold
buying
out.
world.
But now they're
is
getting screwed
empty.
over by COVID-19 and not being able to manufacture or something like that. I don't know. It
Oh
was-
my God.
I
You
read
know,
it.
you know, which means they were so precariously set
They must
as
have
a
been.
company
Right.
that they had no working capital to keep them going. It must have been just bad management.
Well,
you
and
know,
the
you
pro-
got to give bad management a hell of a lot of credit
Yeah,
for
you
ruining
do,
companies.
for ruining a
Be-
company that's been around since 1850 something.
Or
yeah.
Harley bad management. I mean,
Right.
these companies
They're-
are out there rolling along.
I mean,
So-
name some new Remington products.
I only need to name one, and it will be enough to keep any company alive for as long as you want to keep it alive. Remington 1100 series shotguns.
They're 870s.
Yeah, but that's all they've done. You know, they've
They're
got
870.
The 1100
Okay.
and the 1187 is contracted in 870s
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
every military and law enforcement that draws a breath.
yeah.
Plus, you've got small arms. I mean, oh man.
We have Mossberg, but Mossberg
But the thing of it is-
competes directly with that.
If you look at the 870s that are in Cleveland cop cars,
Yeah.
they were purchased 20 some years
Of course
ago.
they were.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just it rides around in a cop car. It never
Yeah.
gets replaced. They're beat up to all the fuck.
but you got to
if
imagine
you're
that.
you're competing against companies like Caltech and stuff, which
Right.
comes out with some new, really super cool
Yeah,
something
that's it.
every year. You know, everybody's innovating and
Or like
coming up with.
Benelli, and they're like, we'll also make motorcycles.
Yeah, well, there's
Remington doesn't have a name as being a high quality or super, do anything. It's bread and butter. An 1100 is a great shotgun.
Right.
An 870 is a great shotgun.
Plus,
But what about pistols? What about the Bushmaster was great,
Right.
but they took a beating on that.
Yeah.
But I think Henry.
But
So
now
insane.
now you can buy a $500 AR-15. So you're a Bushmaster. Now you're selling
Oh, yeah.
a $1,500 Bushmaster
Absolutely.
at a $500 market.
Yeah, that's
Henry
true.
and Marlins took all the classic guns away from them. I mean,
Yeah,
Henry's-
all the lever actions and
Yeah.
stuff that everybody wanted to have that
Right.
were Remingtons historically. Now it's become very in vogue to buy a Henry rifle, So, and Marlins. So it's a very interesting thing. It just seems to be like, how do you fuck that pig wrong to be Remington and not just ride that into the world? It's the one goddamn thing. It's like being the Catholic Church. Being Remington is as American as anything is.
You know what
period.
people are buying right now? A lot of
Ruger's.
handguns. Name a
Ruger's.
really good Remington handgun that you would buy
No,
right now
I can't.
for personal carry.
I can't, and I'm a gun guy.
So there you
Yeah.
go.
So I can't. I can't think of a single Remington arms
I mean,
firearm.
Remington makes
pistol.
a 1911, I think, but that's
Well, everyone does.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 1911 term shouldn't even be used outside of the Colt, but
they don't have a compact. They don't
Right.
have a,
They
they
don't.
don't.
Yeah, anyway, sorry. Here tonight on Gun Talk.
Well,
The,
there's always going to be a little bit of that.
Yeah, that'll happen. But it is a strange thing to hear that Remington's going into that position. That's just crazy to me. I mean, that's just bonkers. In a time too when all Americans are scared and buying guns because guns will save you from coronavirus. Don't you know that?
Guns are fun.
Well-stacked
I
arsenal.
shot a Corona in my backyard the other night.
And how we got there, I'll never know.
Oh, I saw it was running. Piper was out there playing. The cup pops up behind the garage. Went running over towards her. Pow, pow, I got it.
Took care
Shot
of
a
it.
Corona.
Shot a Corona. Oh, they do get the most out of this. I'm so glad we're recording outside because it is so insane.
see the meme?
Jerry Minikowski sent us a message on Patreons. Hey, thanks for keep posting on the YouTube.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching the interactions and watching the same screen as the crew.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's
Well, you know
what I
what?
said.
your computer screen is in the.
it is
camera.
kind of in the shot, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah,
You'd have to really, really stretch for that.
What
But-
happened to our guest star tonight?
Oh, so I have no idea, but we were supposed to have a guest star tonight. Wayne Robertson, James Robertson, our parts director and our shop manager,
And strongman.
and strongman and triathlete and owner of expensive bicycles. James' brother Wayne, who is part of our family and has helped us in so many ways over the years. In fact, we renamed the drink the Painkiller, the Wayne Killer, because of Bandcamp. Just because of Bandcamp. Wayne is all the love and all the fun in one package. He is great. It is wonderful that Wayne and James are brethren, although I have also seen them kick the shit out of each other on numerous occasions. And that is one you don't want to be in.
Yeah, right.
That is a Clash of the Titans scenario. When you see Wayne and James just being like, fuck it, it's on, and they roll into a brother battle, imagine that.
Do you ever think like what their parents had to deal with as children?
I can only imagine.
I'm sure they didn't deal with shit. They're just like, fuck that.
I think they'd probably have like an account with drywall.
When you're done, go get me another beer.
And that's why all the Robertsons are very handy.
Yeah.
They're all very handy around the house. A lot of drywall repair in that household.
Right.
If you're gonna punch the wall, don't hit a stud.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
Keep your punches 16 inches off center.
That's exactly it. See where that punch mark is?
Move on.
16 inches. Gonna save you a lot of trouble and broken knuckles, boy. You fuck up and punch it on center, you're gonna break a knuckle. You're gonna go to the hospital. It's gonna suck.
Why are all the studs marked with the line on the top of the thing? Just so we don't break our hands.
Boys know where to punch. That is it.
So the Wayne Killer's MIA.
The Wayne Killer's MIA. He was supposed to come out tonight. We made a big deal about making sure he was going to be here. And he's like, he's moved out to California with his wife, Margaret.
We're all pretty sure he's out somewhere tonight.
He's out
just not here.
with, all the other Robertsons. So, he's with Rob and,
But what sucks is if we would have known he was not coming, we could have been in John's pool recording the podcast.
Oh, man. Okay, so the other podcast, the other Patreon note we have was from Dave. Dave says, topic idea. I love we're going to hit the topic idea 2.5 hours in. Ting. 150cc scooters, scooter big bore kits, and used scooter bargains. I was wondering if you guys could do a roundup of the available 150cc scooters. How do the Liberty, Sprint, Buddy, Kick, Like, Fiddle 3, and S-Max, or as we call SMAX, compare as far as fun, speed, acceleration, reliability, and fit for a 6-foot-tall person and storage?
Get Buddy 125.
With respect to scooter modifications, are any of the big bore kits worth it, or are we just talking about a slight increase in performance at the cost of a big decrease in reliability?
Yep.
Again, see earlier quote about what Japanese factory has joined, let no man separate. Finally, as far as cheap project scooters go, are there any you would recommend? 80s Rific Revo 180s are available for $500. Is it worth picking one up as a project? Should a laid down Buddy be avoided due to the soft steel frame? What would you buy? Gracias, Dave. Okay, because we're not going to touch any of the initial shit, because that deserves its own thing about 150cc scooter shootout.
Buddy.
I want to talk to you about the Revo 180.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The only way to clean a Revo 180 carburetor is to take all the bodywork off the Revo 180.
Yeah.
Take the motor out of the Revo 180.
Yeah.
And then clean the carburetor.
Yeah.
Revo 180s and Revo 125s have the hardest to access carburetor of any motorcycle I've ever worked on. And I have worked on PC 800s and all kinds of other horrible shit where it's like surgically designed to not get to the carburetor. Revo 180s are cheap for a reason.
It's Honda Magma or Sabre type level.
It's in the same level as like a V4, right?
And the thing for me, like looking at a 150 scooter, 150cc scooter, or something like that, like I don't even know if you're going to go faster, if you're going to do anything more than the Buddy 125. Right. I don't like, and even if it does 4 miles an hour faster, the reliability and unkillability of a Buddy.
Now he brings up the point about a crashed Buddy because the soft steel frame, and that's true. Buddies have a very soft frame. I've got 5 bent ones in the back.
Yeah.
Now the bad news about a Buddy is you can bend the frame by getting on it. Its weight capacity is like 195 pounds. Nobody ever plays by that, right?
No.
Right. So if you read the numbers and you look at GVWR versus vehicle weight, you'll realize that like I can't technically ride a Buddy.
Right.
But I don't stop me from riding a Buddy.
No.
Right. And me and 5 of my friends have ridden on a Buddy at the same time.
Yeah, the Super Cub could take my wife and I that are over 500 pounds.
It's a crazy thing, man. So
maybe not 500.
The Buddies do have soft metal, like the tubular steel in Buddies is very bendable.
Yeah.
And John and I have sat on scooters where we grab the handlebars and just pull the handlebars back into our belly, And there's a lot of
the good news is you can bend them back with like some ratchet straps.
Right. And that's the thing is we have straightened out a lot of Buddy frames that were just off by a little bit. And with the correct application of ratchet straps, you can straighten a Buddy right back out again.
But I mean, it's the one bike that just always works.
Well, but that's what he said. A Buddy is an unkillable little bike.
And also, I don't know if
but they're so small.
If crashing a Buddy or laying down a Buddy is going to really bend the frame to the point where you can't ride it.
Any curb interaction will destroy the frame of a Buddy.
Yeah.
Its weak point is the front is the headset and the front end. The back part's fine.
Yeah.
But you sometimes get problems with geometry.
Oh, yeah.
With a hard hit to the front or something like that.
That is weird. They don't normally go that way. I gotta tell you.
Fairview's right there. Why are they going that way?
Why are they going that way?
Unless they got to go get somebody to
They
take
must
them
be.
back.
They were down there having it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, now my new absolute favorite in the world of scooters, because we've sold a lot of them and they never had a problem, is the Liberty 150. Because it's got fuel injection, ABS brakes, built-in immobilizer system, Piaggio build quality. It's not from China. It's from Vietnam. So a whole other race of people we've alienated. But it is a fantastically well-built scooter. And our customers love them. So I'd say if you're not going to spend Primavera money, you can buy two Liberties for the price of one Primavera. My money still goes with the Vespa, a proper Vespa as being the best built. It's by far the strongest. You get an old Vespa GTS. We have one of our customers, I'm not going to say his name, but he sounds like a vampire when he talks. And he ran into a friend of ours on one of Roy McKinney's wild rides the other day. So we got this guy, Roy McKinney. He drives always a little too aggressively, but he leads a group of scooter people around all over the place, and he does rides constantly. But in this case, Roy was not cooking it a little hotter than he should have. They were simply one of the riders that got held back by a traffic light. The rest of the group had pulled off to the right to stop, as happens. And then the guy, one dude looked over his shoulder to see, like, is he still coming? But while he was looking over his shoulder to see if he was still coming,
he did the old.
He ran directly into the back of Bill Marar and hit Bill Marar enough to throw Bill Marar 30 feet through the air.
Oh, wow. Shit.
On his bike.
Wow.
So Bill's in the hospital.
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah, it just happened. And so Bill's in the hospital, and Bill did the Lake Erie Loop. Like, we know Bill, we like Bill, and so nailed Bill. This Vespa GTS the guy was driving is in here, and it looks like you took an axe, like a fire axe, and just attacked the entire front leg shields of this Vespa because it's where the metal of the Vespa reached out and took a bite out of whatever motorcycle Bill was riding.
Yeah.
And it's just like the Vespa from the other side looks perfect.
Right.
And from the back, it looks perfect. And then you get to the front, it looks like Jaws bit this Vespa.
Wow.
Just one time. But the Vespa is still totally rideable and totally functional.
Wow.
And it
just has a chunk missing out of its face.
It's literally just missing a chunk out of the front of it. It's like you're just missing a big part of your thigh, but you could still run,
You can get to the point like shark bite you?
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
that happens.
It's going to
a
happen.
monster can.
Right, yes. And so it is a really, that's how strong Vespas are. They're crazy strong. So, and they are crazy strong. It's like anybody who does the cannonball run or the scooter cannonball, the bike to ride is always a Vespa. And like everyone agrees, if you want to make it across America and back, you get a Vespa. Like,
well, what Bagel has, how many miles did he put on his
a billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, a billion.
A billion.
A billion on a Vespa
GTS
GTS. A GTS 250 or GTS 300. I've got the Deer Slayer, which is now Scoot Baca, which has got a jillion miles on it. And that's also a GTS 250. It's a GTS 250 that hit a deer and was endo, roll, and has been put back together again and runs perfect. And it's like,
my dad's selling a GTV 250 if anyone's looking for a GTV
that's
250.
a really good bike. So the GTV 250s are...
That's headlight on the fender?
Yeah, the V stands for vintage. Mm-hmm. So it's got a down low, or what they call a Fado Basso. It's a low headlight. A
Color?
Basso.
What color?
It's green.
Oh, yeah, it's the Portofino green.
Yeah.
Portofino green.
Portofino green. Very handsome bike. Mm-hmm. So those are great, and they don't die. Yep. They just run forever. You can run them on 87 octane gas as long as you want. Doesn't hurt a damn thing. So
I would like to speak to the big bore thing.
Yeah.
At least I know I did at least one or two big bore kits on a buddy.
Yep.
So that was the 170 kit from
Scooter Works.
Scooter Works.
Yep.
I wasn't worth the trouble.
No.
And considering you can get a buddy 170, why?
Right. I totally agree. And putting a kit, and I've ridden a lot of Vespas that have Malossi kits on them, and it is quicker, but it's not. I don't feel like there's a huge increase in reliability.
On a Vespa, which is fuel injected, Vespa, I'd put a power commander on it before I put a big kit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would you get more out of that.
That's what this dude, he has the TNT 125 and he put the 155 cc head on it.
Yep.
And then, but to do that, you have to get a whole new computer.
Yeah.
You have to get a new injector.
Oh yeah.
A bigger injector and all that.
Absolutely.
So he did all this. It was like $1,000 worth of mods to do 20 cc's.
Yeah.
And he has no more top speed, but it gets to 60 like a second faster.
Yeah,
it's just not worth
it's
the
not worth
hassle.
it.
And you're taking away reliability and your warranty and everything.
Keep it original.
else.
Keep it reliable, and just put miles on it.
Yeah.
And become
We're
a
not
better
smarter
rider.
than the engineers.
No.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
and I will say that one of the big bore kits that I did was, I think, on Dustin's bike, was putting the second big bore kit after the first big bore kit blew up.
And that's true too. Right. That is always it. I have replaced top ends.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
No, that sound like
Sound like a metallic.
that sound like a skeleton jerking off in a coffee can. There's nothing that sounds great about that motorcycle that just went by here. But it's a panhead, so it's cool. Yeah. All the hipsters like it.
Yeah.
Because it's a panhead. But it did sound awful. But I have done, that is the funny thing is once you do a top end voluntarily, it's not that uncommon to see it come back around again. And that's because you do have to break a performance kit in, and you have to be gentle with it for a while. And nobody wants to do that. They just want to get out and rape the ape. Oh, that's a big block right there.
They bought 2 of those.
Oh yeah,
That's TR2.
those are brand new, man.
There was TR1.
Is that still RNC money?
I don't know where that money comes from.
Because that's $1 million rig right there.
Yeah, there's a generator in the roof. There's air conditioning.
Yeah.
That's Tactical Rescue 2.
Tactical Rescue 2, which is a giant RV for firemen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's basically a stripper
That is
pole
so-
in there and a
and
leather
that-
couch.
And that one little panel on the side is the jaws of life and stuff. That
Yeah. I mean, realistically, when you look at that, that is a giant Bluebird RV for firemen. Yeah.
Yeah, inside, I mean, so you got the crew cab, which is a four
Right.
seats up there.
Right.
With all so I had to hook up the radio to the David Clark system, which is same thing they put in airplanes.
It's
everything
helicopters.
like that.
So we can have a conversation in
You have a
tons of
computer in
ambient
the
noise.
front, you got a computer in the back,
Yeah.
you've got a big bench, and then fold down benches where like probably 6-7 guys could all sit in there if they had to in air conditioned comfort.
Oh yeah.
Gaming stations.
Gaming station, drop down hammocks.
There was no big
the
screen
massage
TV.
table. Yeah. Yeah.
No bathroom though.
For the amount, there should be a head in there.
That's what I'm like. You could have put a little closet here.
Yeah,
At
you should
least,
put a
you know,
fucking
when you're
bathroom
out
in
on the
there.
sea, you're out working.
Look at that thing. It's clearly a goddamn RV. It should have a goddamn.
And those ones, the newer
At
ones,
least
don't-
they have a feature on it.
well, they don't have an awning on those. The older
Right.
ones
I saw the awning in the other.
had an awning. So if you're on a scene for a long time,
Yeah.
they're meant to be like, okay, we've got a warehouse fire. We're going to be here for
For to
a
be here
long-
for days. Yeah.
So that thing carries like several canisters of
Oh, yeah.
oxygen and stuff like that.
Did you work on that truck?
Yes,
That's cool.
that's TR2.
That's pretty cool.
Now I don't understand why it doesn't have the barbecue grill that comes out from the side, like all the proper RVs.
Yeah, Joe.
You gotta support these firefighters.
Yeah, if you're going to have a warehouse burning down and be out there for days, man.
Yeah.
Fucking kegerator needs all of it.
Needs
Oh,
all
yeah.
of it. Absolutely. Well, that's cool. Anybody else got anything else?
I actually, I didn't drive that one. I drove TR1.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, pulled it in and out of the shop and
Oh,
stuff
okay,
like
yeah.
that. It's,
So, well, there's
You're driving a battleship at that point. I mean, I've
Oh,
driven a lot of giant RVs. The
well,
anal,
that vac truck that I showed
Yeah.
you that looks like something from Mad Max. That has,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? I drove that around the property and put it in the shop. But everything now is, it's all automatics, Allison.
Yeah.
You know, like push button, drive.
Oh,
Put
well,
up, take out the
anybody
air
who
brake.
would ever see a United States military Hemet, 4 wheels in the front, 4 wheels in the back, and all the fun in the middle, you'd see a Hemet, and you'd be like, oh my God, that thing's got to be insane to drive. No, it's an automatic transmission. The air brakes are just dumb. You
Oh,
don't even
too
need to think
touchy. They'll
about
throw
it.
you through the windshield.
Right. And I used to drive those things down the Autobahn, 65, 70 miles an hour, and I was 19 years old. They're like, guess what? You're now driving the Hemet. And I'm like, I am so not qualified to drive this. No, I looked at your license. You passed the test. Here you go. So you're driving the Hemet now. And what the fuck? I mean, I saw a bunch of Hemets going down the road, and I was going to Maryland and coming back. And I was like, I see these guys driving it. They're just, the tires are 4 feet tall.
Yeah, right.
You can't drive a Hemet without like smiling, because it's the funniest thing. You can look, there's a little window down by your feet. So you look at what you're about to run over. Yeah. You can just be like, oh, she's a blonde. Yeah. It's so cool. Yeah.
Oh, a Corolla.
They thought that was funny. Across the street.
Damn.
It's nice when we're getting a congratulatory response from the Dunkin' Donuts across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should start the wave. All right. I don't have anything else, man. I think that's a podcast. Okay, go ahead.
Long Way Up has been announced. They finally finished it. I mean,
I've seen the reviewing parties.
yeah, and so it's going to be on Apple TV,
Okay.
and apparently they're going to release all the episodes at once.
Smart. Yeah.
And so if that's the case, like I'm just going to get that week free trial of Apple TV.
Oh, that's the right way to do it.
and do it. But it's like people make fun of them, and they say that it ruined adventure riding, or it opened it up for the whole world, or whatever.
Yeah.
But this one's going to be interesting because they're on the Harley Davidson now defunct Livewire.
I don't think the Livewire is defunct. I
Okay.
think the project that spawned the Livewire is defunct.
So
But
they're still going to sell them, or what?
I think that they're going to continue with the Livewire project because it's the only thing that they've had that's generated really good press for them.
Okay.
So
And I'm sure that show is going to once that hits.
Okay, when you've committed to that,
Yeah.
It's generated good press, but as soon as people start riding them and review them against something like a Zero or any other
they
thing,
do okay, and that's the thing I will tell you about the Livewire. I've ridden them. It is different. It is not the same. It is too. Here's the way I'm going to say it: a Livewire is too much exactly the same as a Zero SRF to cost $12,000 more. So it is too much exactly the same thing as a Zero SRF to cost actually 50% more. So if you tell me that I can have the exact same experience and better in many ways than the Livewire on a bike that is more comfortable and fits me better for 50% less money, then I'm all over the Zero. Right. And that's the big problem to me, is that the Zero does so many things and the Livewire do so many things almost identically in their performance that it is a much, much better value to buy a $18,000 SRF than it is to buy a $30,000+ Livewire. So that's what it breaks down to, is you could almost buy two SRFs for the price of a Livewire.
And don't Livewires, you have maintenance. Like you have gear oil things,
yeah,
right?
There's more maintenance-y things. The cost of ownership for a Livewire is definitely higher than a Zero SRF.
Right.
And because the Livewire charges at the world's slowest level 1, your house, or level 3, which the level 3 chargers just aren't out there. Like
so how are they going to? They're going to bring a truck that's got a generator in it.
They did for the.
They also said they really tried to do it without the trucks, and so they also were knocking on people's doors like, "Hi, we're traveling around the country. Can we plug our motorcycles in?"
But that the level 1 charge time for a Livewire is going to be like 11 to 13 hours.
Yeah,
at least.
So,
so which is perfect if you're making a motorcycle show about traveling.
Yeah.
But if you're just a dude traveling,
you're gonna have a hard time.
Yeah. If you're actually traveling.
Yeah.
So as with the other ones, it was like, there was the whole scene in the original Long Way Round,
right,
where Ewan and Charlie were calling. Well, are we going to be at they tried to get a hold of KTM, and KTM wouldn't give them bikes.
Yeah.
So they went with BMWs.
Right.
Did they try to contact Zero?
No, I don't think.
Because I have the feel that if they contacted Zero, they'd be on Zero.
I do too, and I don't think that was ever an option. I think this entire adventure was probably bankrolled by Ford Motor Company, aka with the Rivian product, because there's electric trucks involved in this too.
Yeah.
So I think Ford and Harley Davidson, and historically speaking, the official truck of Harley Davidson is Ford. So I think this is a giant red, white, and blue flag situation where it came down to that, which you could have kind of accomplished the same thing with Zero, considering it's made in America. You could have done that, but I don't think that was ever the intention.
But it had to be. It had to be some kind of a money thing, because Charlie, how do you say, Boorman or whatever?
Yeah, Boorman. Yeah.
He's sponsored by one company, and then Ewan has been doing what? Triumph or something?
He's been doing Moto Guzzi.
Moto Guzzi,
Yeah.
sorry,
Right.
yeah. And so, like, it was really weird. Like, I was convinced when they announced it was going to be V85s.
Oh, yeah.
I was like 100%.
No, yeah. I didn't. That was really, really like I think that this is Ford and Harley Davidson.
Yeah,
like,
I think they stepped in and they're like, they did something.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever even a doubt as to what bike they were going to be taking.
No.
I don't think they had a plan to take a trip.
No.
Until somebody said, we need you to promote a product.
Yeah. But I'm
And then
sure
the
they're going to have
promotion
a
of the
great
product.
story about how they had the idea
Look,
for the
James and I weren't planning on going across America until the Madass guys were like, if you drove one of these across America for us, James and I weren't like, we're going to drive across America on 125s this year.
Yeah.
No, fuck that. It took the marketing of the thing to make the adventure happen.
Right.
So that happens, man. So I think that's exactly what happened here. I think that Charlie and Ewan were busy counting their money on some other projects when somebody wrote them a check that you couldn't handle with both hands. And they went, well, fuck yeah, I'll ride an electric bike from Tierra del Fuego to, LA.
Right.
I'll do that for how much are you paying me?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And Charlie's single now, so not Charlie. Yeah. Sorry. Ewan's single.
Yeah, Ewan's single now. Yeah. So all the ladies are like,
yeah.
So ladies' viewership just went way up now that Ev's no longer there. Yeah. It's true. That's good watching.
Yep.
So I question about Apple TV. Do you need to own that silly Apple TV device?
No, because that's what I actually.
Or is it now just streaming on my Roku?
When they announced it, I was like, "Fucking, I'm not buying this piece of hardware."
I'm not going to buy a piece of hardware. Right. Yeah.
They have released an app, so you can download an app onto your Roku.
So there's
onto your
an
Fire
Apple TV app that I can build into a channel that I can put onto my TCL Roku.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, welcome to the world we live in.
I think Apple had to because they realized not enough people were going to buy their stupid $150 fucking Apple box.
No, the lightly down-squared Apple computer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's an Apple computer.
But meanwhile, I got like a Fire
It's an
Stick.
Apple Mini.
I got a Fire Stick for $9 at Aldi.
Right.
I'm not buying a $150 Apple TV.
It was that or the pound of cashews. I really couldn't figure out which I wanted to buy. It was the pound of cashews or the Apple Fire Stick. I don't know.
We're into bill money when it comes to Apple TV. That's too much, man.
But at Aldi, or it was the steel-toed work shoes.
Because Aldi has that one aisle.
The Aldi crazy aisle.
Yeah, you never know what's going to be in there. Yeah.
Right.
Chairs.
I've seen motorcycle covers on a random day.
I have too. And it's been like, okay, can you tell me who makes Build Begone impact drivers? Because I don't know who Build Begone is, but it's $11.
Yeah.
So it's a whole set of impact drivers and sockets and everything else.
Yeah.
And Aldi's supposedly going all organic, so that impact driver will be an organic impact driver.
No GMO in the impact driver at all. Yeah.
Good for at least one impact.
Honestly convinced. And the funny thing is, though, I bought a pair of the Aldi rubber winter boots. So I bought a pair of the Aldi duck boots.
Yeah.
Right. The insulate. They work.
Yeah.
And they were $9 or whatever.
Yeah, man.
And then I bought various other Aldi items. I still at my house have the Aldi leather jacket I bought from the Aldi that was under my apartment when I lived in Germany.
Oh wow!
So my apartment was a 10-story, high rise or whatever. But then at the bottom of it, we had an Aldi.
Yeah.
And I went in there. I used to go in there like every day just to see what was up. And they had leather jackets one day, and the leather jacket was like 49 marks, it's like 50 marks, which at the time marks were 2 to 1. So it was like $25 leather jacket.
Yeah.
And it's a $25 members only replica real moo cow leather jacket.
Yeah.
And for $25. So I bought it. I still have it. It still works.
Yeah.
It's still a functioning leather jacket. Aldi does have good buyers.
Yeah.
So,
they do.
Yeah.
You know what? And Smith, we didn't get a joke, dude.
I know we didn't get a joke.
Oh, well, it's too dark for jokes.
Too dark.
He
only does light comedy.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Fuck, man.
2 weeks in a row, no Smith joke,
Dark
man.
evil jokes. Yeah.
Well, if I had a flashlight.
We have flashlights. We all have devices.
Grab the rope light.
We have an entire rope light, by
Yeah.
the way. Yeah, that's true, too. I forgot about that. Yeah. We could have
Uh-oh. Hey, he's got books.
Oh, I got to bring out the book. Sorry.
Oh, my God. You know what? It better be a goddamn good joke if it involves a book. Yeah.
It better.
Chris is telling it.
That's true. It's going to be magic because Chris is telling it.
All I'm doing is telling
It better be better than reptile dysfunction.
Oh, look at all the. Did you say reptile dysfunction?
Reptile dysfunction.
All right, quickie.
All right.
So Morris and Becky are both.
How about in the microphone so people can hear you?
There you go.
So Morris and Becky are both in their 80s and residing at the long-term care facility called The Home. and have started a friendship.
That's a death sentence these days.
Every Friday afternoon at 2:15, Becky goes to Morris's room, closes the door, and holds his penis for 15 minutes. This goes on for 4 or 5 months.
Is there going to be math?
One Friday at 2:15 sharp, she shows up at Morris's room. No Morris. Panicked, she runs down the hall, calling out, "Where's Morris? Where's Morris?" One of the attendants finally stops her and says, "Morris is down the hall in Zelda's room." Becky goes down to Zelda's room, opens the door, and there's Zelda with Morris holding his penis. Becky cries out, "Morris, Morris, why are you doing this? Haven't I been good enough for you? What does she have that I don't have?" Morris looks up at her and smiles and says, "Parkinson's disease."
I didn't hear it. Say the punchline one more time.
What does she have that I don't have? Parkinson's disease.
And on that, folks, remember to ride fast and take chances.
I
I can't see the red light.